What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. No off days, no off season. It's draft season again. The big board is opened. Very exciting. We got, I think, 5 different tournaments. We'll go over it in a few seconds, talking about the different structures and everything like that. So we'll get into everything. It's going to be a bit of a longer episode today, so strap yourselves in. Smack the like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Appreciate you guys stopping by. The Senior Bowl was yesterday. I just rewatched the Shrine Bowl. I had some catching up to do. I still have some catching up to do with the practice schedule at the Senior Bowl, but I'll get through that tape. Not that it's entirely necessary, in my opinion. Obviously, the college game tape, the combine, the combine, but the Senior Bowl game itself. All that's a little bit more important, but I am going to get into the practice tape as well, just to see who kind of stood out to me. Obviously follow some smart people on the Twitter machine and, get some opinion based type stuff. Look at stat profiles. There's a few guys that I haven't looked at yet that I need to dive into. So we'll dig into all of that. The first thing I want to do, we'll do a draft, but a little bit later in the show, I want to go through this rookie class, more specifically the running backs and wide receivers. That we're really going to dive into those two. Those are the two positions where I have, started to dive into tape pretty heavily. But I definitely still have some work to do. And there's some new guys that have popped up that I definitely need to dig into. So let's start with that. So this is what I do every year. Maybe I'll just show last year's. So this is last year's rankings and notes and stuff like that. I didn't dig too much into the quarterbacks, but I was pretty hard set on this as being my rankings. I'd probably move Penix up as it sits now, but and then obviously Jaden Daniels, but we'll dig more into that. But that was last year's stuff. This is last year's running backs. This is kind of how I do it. So we're going to start with 2025, the quarterback class. Like I said, I haven't dug into tape yet on pretty much any of these quarterbacks. I haven't done a full deep dive yet, but it's a very, very weak class, in my opinion, as far as finding your franchise starting quarterback. Carson Beck has pulled out, so I can take that name out. There's probably 1 or 2 I need to add to the list. And I will dive into tape, but I really just, for best ball drafting, I'm not going to be probably picking any of these rookie quarterbacks. And certainly not in these early big board drafts. I'm really not going to focus on the rookies whatsoever. And this is from someone I was exceptionally high on Jaden Daniels last year, very high on Caleb Williams, et cetera, Bo Nix. But I don't really think, you could find a franchise quarterback, a Brock Purdy that may exist in this class. But I think if you are looking to draft a rookie quarterback, the only 2 worth drafting right this second would be Shedeur Sanders, Cameron Ward. But we'll see how it shakes out. Like I said, I haven't watched tape yet. And once I dig in, I feel like Cam Ward's going to be my number 1. And then probably Shedeur Sanders. I'm really not a Quinn Ewers fan at all. I wasn't last year. I wasn't this year. If I were Texas, I would have encouraged him to move on and turn the keys over to Arch Manning. They're obviously going to do that this year. But it is what it is. I'm just not a big Quinn Ewers fan. Jackson Dart looks okay. He looked okay in the game, but I really do not think that he's ready to start year 1 in the NFL. Dylan Gabriel is just way too small. He's 5'10", left-handed, just, a lot of red flags for me personally. I'm not a Dylan Gabriel guy. Maybe he'll be a quality backup somewhere, Tua in Miami. He could obviously be his backup, left-handed. Sure, that might work out, but I'm not a big Dylan Gabriel fan personally. Will Howard, he might be that Brock Purdy type. He's played in some big games, big program at Ohio State. They kicked Kyle McCord to the curb, who transferred to Syracuse, had a very good year there, and kind of brought back Emeka Egbuka. Looked a lot better with Will Howard under center. So that was encouraging. Riley Leonard, Tyler Shuck, DJ Ugalungale. I think I'm saying that relatively close. Kyle McCord. I'm not a big Jalen Milroe guy either. I know that, on the Twitter machine, Kurt Benkert was who is he comping to? Someone way better than I think. I'm not a big Jalen Milroe fan, but we'll see. Again, I got to dig into the tape. I haven't done my rankings yet on quarterbacks, but that's kind of just a general feeling as it sits right now. So let's avoid the running backs and wide receivers for a second. Let's go to the tight end class, and then we'll get into the wide receivers, and then finish with running backs because I've done the most of my work so far on the running backs. But let's jump into the tight ends. Harold Fannin was highly productive at Bowling Green. Looked really good in the Senior Bowl as well. Definitely flashed a little bit. So I like what I see there. Definitely kind of a big slot, move tight end kind of guy. He's not a very good blocker, which makes sense. But we'll see. I got to dig into his tape a little bit cleaner as well. Tyler Warren, probably going to be my tight end one, unless for some reason I like Colston Loveland more. We'll see. Elijah Arroyo, he had a really good Senior Bowl. I watched only the first day of practicing so far, and then I watched the Senior Bowl game, and Arroyo popped off a couple times in practice and a couple times in the game. So I think he's someone that I'm definitely going to like. Again, I got to dig in a little bit more. Same with Terrence Ferguson. Definitely popped off a little bit, liked what I saw. Definitely liked the schools that they went to. So he's a guy that I'm going to dig into. Mason Taylor, same thing. Jason Taylor's son comes from a pedigree, LSU, young. So I'm going to take a look at him. And then Aronde Gadsden from Syracuse. All these Syracuse guys saw their stock go up a little bit with Kyle McCord coming in. So that's a guy I'm going to have to take another look at. CJ Dupree, him as well. He popped off in the game. Gunnar Helm. All these guys. It's a very good looking tight end class. With some top end talent in Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, potentially Elijah Arroyo, and then a lot of quality Jake Ferguson type of, Cade Otton type of tight ends. I think in this class, just from the feel I get, I'm going to have to dig deeper into the tape and develop my rankings with these tight ends. But it's a good class. I would be happy to take some rookie tight ends. I already have been with some Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. Those are the two that I've definitely been focusing on so far as draft season concerned. But like I said, I got to dig in more, deep dive into these guys and develop some rankings. So there you go. Now let's jump over to the wide receivers. A little bit of agua. All right, let's jump over to the wide receivers. Haven't dug into my rankings yet, my actual rankings, but I definitely have a feel for a bunch of these guys. So I've watched a lot of tape. I've got some notes. I've got some comps, some team fits and stuff like that. So that's kind of how this reads, as you can kind of see. Let's start from the top. Travis Hunter seems like he's going to be very polarizing. I haven't watched his tape yet. Because I don't know. I just haven't gotten enough of a feel of if he's going to play offense or defense at the NFL level. It seems like a lot of teams are pushing him towards the defensive side of the ball, playing corner in the NFL. But I have to dig in. Obviously, I haven't been drafting him, and I don't think I will. Where he's going now, ADP wise, I don't think I'll be in on Travis Hunter unless I see some stuff on tape that I can't ignore and I really like about the prospect. So, we'll see about him. I haven't watched tape yet, so I will say that. Tetairoa McMillan is a guy that I thought I was going to like a lot more than I did when I watched him. And there's a couple guys like that. There's always some rookies. Every year there's rookies like that where you look at the stat profile, you see some highlights, but then you really dig into the tape and it's not as exciting as you thought or expected it to be. And for me, in the wide receiver position, for sure, Tetairoa McMillan was that guy for me. He's still, I think, going to be like a top 5 kind of a wide receiver in this class, but I was thinking that he was going to be far and away my number 1 wide receiver, and he's really not. So I'd like to see him run a little bit of cleaner routes. I think that was a common kind of knock against him from stuff I read after the fact. Played with the same high school quarterback that he did in college, his entire college career, Fafita. He's got the traits, size, speed. I love all that stuff, kind of a top 3 by default, top 5 by default. But looking at his player comp for me, Quentin Johnston, that's kind of what I saw, tall, fast, but, not necessarily going to be a bust, but I think we can all agree Quentin Johnston's going to take at least 2 years to develop into what we thought he was going to be as a rookie. So I think this coming season, the third-year wide receiver breakout for Quentin Johnston, I think could be a thing. I'm in on Quentin Johnston for sure at cost. Absolutely. I think he could be a 1,000-yard wide receiver in 2025, this coming season. And I think McMillan's going to have a little bit more growing pains than people think. So as it sits right now, I'm pretty out on McMillan at his ADP. Not that I don't like him. It's just he's going too high, in my opinion. So we'll dig into that a little bit more when we jump over to the underdog side, but that's kind of how I saw it on film. Emeka Egbuka might be my number one wide receiver. I'll say that. I really, really enjoyed his tape. Reminded me of a lot of other Ohio State wide receivers, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, that sort of a thing. He's a professional wide receiver. He can literally line up anywhere on the field, run any route you need him to. Patient run runner, just wrecks zone defenses. He might be a big slot kind of fit. We'll see, but he's not going to be shocked. I don't think anything is going to surprise him too much at the NFL level. I really think he's just the most like pro-ready wide receiver in this class. And I think he might be my wide receiver one when my rankings, I develop my rankings and build my rankings. We'll see when I get there. But I'm a big fan of Emeka Egbuka, especially given ADP cost. I'm all over him. So Keenan Allen was kind of my comp to him. Hence the kind of big slot, zone destroyer, that sort of a thing. I like that comp, but we'll see. That's a guy I'm very high on, very, very high on. Trey Harris out of Mississippi, Ole Miss. He's got those X traits. Would have had a massive season potentially if he didn't get derailed by injury there. He was a high school quarterback who threw the ball to Malik Neighbors in high school. He's got, again, those X traits, size and speed, wins one-on-one. He's a pro wide receiver, no comp, no team fit. But I like Trey Harris. We'll see. I kind of want to see what he runs speed-wise in the combine. And where he goes, he's going to be that outside wide receiver. I just think that there's a lot of very similar wide receivers in this class, like Trey Harris. I'll get into a couple more and I'll allude to it when they come up. But I think there's a lot of kind of Trey Harris's in this draft class. So it's really going to depend on fit and opportunity for a lot of these guys. And again, we'll dig into it in a second here, but Xavier Restrepo, I loved on tape. I didn't really like his showing at the Senior Bowl so far. He interviewed very well, but he might be the best slot receiver in this class. Quick feet, smart kid, Ivy League recruited, which I like to see. He ended up going to the U. Obviously, football was more of a concern for him than education. He wanted to go pro, play professional football, obviously. But he's a smart kid, Ivy League recruited. Amazing route runner, understands how to get open. I really liked his hips and his shoulders when he was running routes and splitting off. Fantastic hands. I think he'd fit in the slot with the Bengals. A little bit, biased on that one. I think we need a slot receiver like him. So, Chris Godwin, I would like to come over to the Bengals, but he might be, a little too banged up injury-wise. We'll see how that works. But I think the Bengals need a slot wide receiver, and a guy like Xavier Restrepo could definitely fill that role, in my opinion. I think he could be anywhere between a Malik Washington and then all the way up to Cooper Kupp. We'll see. He'll probably be somewhere in between those two. So that's what this means if you see this down the road. It's, he'll probably land somewhere in between these two kind of examples or these two comps. So smaller body guy, and Cooper Kupp's a bigger body slot wide receiver. So again, he'll probably and Malik Washington is smaller than Restrepo, so he'll probably fall somewhere in between those two types of players. Jalen Royals, I liked a lot. A bit of a late bloomer. Tons of speed. Again, another injury that derails his season. He could have had a monster season, but again, a little bit of injury there. Could be a good wide receiver too in a lot of offenses. A Z wide receiver, nice hands, Georgia military, so he's very, very disciplined, military family. I think he was born outside the United States, but there you go. I thought I had a comp for him, but I guess I didn't. So definitely a guy that I really like. He will probably crack my top 10. Not exactly sure where he'll land, but we'll dig into that a little bit more once I watch a few more of these guys play. So Caden Prather, Kyron Lacey had some legal issues there out of LSU. I haven't watched tape on these guys. I probably won't. There's just really nothing there that's forcing me to want to watch the tape and dig into those two players so far, but we'll see. Savion Williams, wow, man, I was really, he's gonna be one of my guys. He is absolutely one of my guys this year. He exploded off the screen for me. So high school quarterback, played a bunch of running back, wildcat quarterback, wide receiver, and just like like you can read what my notes say here. I was very, very blown away a little bit. A guy that big, 6'5", 6'4". We'll see what he comes in at measurement wise, but let's call him 6'4". He's listed as 6'5", but let's call him 6'4", 220. A guy that size should not be able to move that way. It's baffling, to be honest with you. So Savion Williams is absolutely going to be one of my guys. I'm going to be higher on him than a lot of other people. I'm sure of that. Maybe the highest. So definitely one of my guys. Definitely a guy that I've already been focusing on in best ball drafts, and I'm going to continue to, because he's going to be a guy that you got to scheme to get the ball in his hands. He's I'm not going to say he's as fast as Xavier Worthy, but he should probably run 4.3. We'll see, 4.3 something for sure. And at that size, man, plus you could do some gadget stuff. He could do some wildcat quarterback. He can throw the ball. He does have drops. Yeah, here's a comment in the chat. Savion can't catch a cold. Yeah, he's made some highlight reel catches, but yeah, he was charged with 8 drops this year, which is pretty unacceptable. So again, scheming in the backfield at wildcat quarterback, stuff like that is what you're going to have to do. A little bit of Debo-esque type of stuff to get the ball in his hands. I don't disagree. That doesn't change anything for me, especially with his ADP cost. I'll take that boomer bust all day long. And, yeah, it's not like he's going to be a guy that, I'm going to live by and die by, but you're not wrong. He definitely has a tough time catching the ball. We'll see. Hopefully that's something that he can improve on. It is absolutely something that a player can improve on. It's just a matter of putting in the work. So, yeah, it's scary. It's scary the size he is. Get him the ball. Definitely a guy that I really, really like. I'm going to be higher on than most, and I'll be willing to take that chance on the boom bust. So there you go. Ty Felton, haven't watched tape yet. Don't know if I will. We'll see. So yeah, we'll see about Ty Felton. I don't think I'm going to need to dig into him too much, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Tez Johnson, I haven't watched tape yet from this season. I watched him a lot at Oregon when Bo Nix was there. I'll address this first. Landing spot dependent. I'll wait till the draft. That's perfectly fine. That's a very, very, very acceptable strategy. There's a lot of guys you will hear me say that about as well as we go through this. When we jump over the running backs, that's a very, very acceptable strategy. Absolutely. There's risk with that. He could explode up the draft board, or yeah, he could completely fall off of it. So we'll see. Again, boom bust. I'm willing to take the chance right now with where he's going ADP wise. If you're talking about like rookie drafts, same thing realistically. Like he's third round pick most likely. I'm just going to be higher on than most. I'll tell you that. But I'm not going to say you're wrong, because you're not. So I'm not going to argue the facts that you've laid out, because it's very true. 8 drops in college is pretty unacceptable. But we'll see. We'll see moving forward. Again, back to Tez Johnson. I'm going to be another guy. I'm going to be higher on Tez Johnson than most. If you're a fan of this show, if you've been watching this show for a long time, 2 years ago when Tank Dell was coming out from University of Houston, ended up being drafted by the Houston Texans. That was a guy that I guarantee you, I know for a fact, I was higher on than probably anybody else out there as a rookie. I had about 23% or something like that of him in best ball drafts. I was a big fan of Tank Dell. If you think that Tez Johnson is too small to play in the NFL, I'm here to tell you that you're dead wrong. Look at, Devontae Smith, 6 foot 170, a little bit bigger than Tez Johnson. Yeah, of course, but he was 6th overall pick, right? Tank Dell. Tez Johnson's about the same size, a little bit taller, but a little slimmer. Tank Dell was 5'8", 165. Tez Johnson's 5'9", and 156. You tell me he can't put on a couple pounds, I'm not too worried about that. Like, there's really good, if he weighs 170 or less, it really doesn't matter. Can he separate? Absolutely. Can he catch the ball? Absolutely. He was the number 1 wide receiver when Bo Nix was at Oregon. Yes, they're like brothers. They played together in high school, so they have a history. But, Troy Franklin was there. I'm a believer in Tez Johnson, and I'm probably going to be higher on than most, especially at his ADP. Big fan. I do have to dig into tape a little bit more. Supposedly he was, quote, unguardable at Senior Bowl practice. A lot of guys get that sort of buzz at the Senior Bowl. I would have liked to see him play in the game, but I definitely am a big fan of Tez Johnson and higher on him than most, like I said. I like Tez. Going to start getting him. Jeremy Horn Jr. is similar bet as him. I like better though. That's he's from Colorado, correct? Jeremy Horn Jr. or Jimmy Horn Jr. I think he's at Colorado. I'll have to dig into him. I don't think I even have him on my list here, Jimmy Horn. But maybe I'll dig into him, put him on the list. Moving on to Jaden Higgins. This is another guy like Trey Harris for me. Very similar. Big body, not exceptionally fast. X wide receiver traits, has the size, speed might be a concern. We'll see. He had a good game in the Senior Bowl, so I'll give him that. He had a good game. A lot of soft coverage in college. He can wreck soft coverage. There's a lot of soft coverage in college regardless, right? So, option routes, little hitches, stuff like that just can be easily schemed open. But I noticed it a lot more when I watched Jaden Higgins personally. Alan Lazard, another Iowa State wide receiver. That's the comp that I had for him. That's kind of what I saw. Just kind of middle of the road. I like him, but I don't think he's going to be in my top 10. And there's just a bunch of other guys that are very similar to Jaden Higgins. Trey Harris might be in that vein. A couple other guys we'll talk about in a second, but Jimmy Horn's legit. I'll take a look. I'll throw him on the list. Getting Steelers buzz sounds like he would be really similar to Calvin Austin the third, right? So Calvin Austin definitely took a step forward this year. And I think he'll take another step forward. Technically, this was his first year playing after he was injured as a rookie. So we'll see. But the Steelers need wide receiver help. So there you go. But Zach Besh had an amazing Senior Bowl MVP, and battling through some adversity, definitely some tragedy in his life. Obviously, he lost his brother in the terror attack there in New Orleans. So very, very unfortunate, but battling through that, was able to go to the practice week, stood out in the practice week as well. And then again, was the Senior Bowl MVP, had a fantastic game and caught the game-winning touchdown. So the other thing I noticed about Jack Besh was he's put together, man. He's pretty jacked. He's a good looking, he's pretty put together. So that was a little bit surprising to me. 1,000-yard wide receiver for TCU. I haven't watched tape yet, besides some of the Senior Bowl stuff and then the game. So I definitely want to go and watch his college tape, and we'll see where he lands. But I like him. I think he will be in my top 10. Good story, all that kind of stuff. But I think there's a lot of similar wide receivers like this, where they're all kind of middling a little bit. There's no one that really, I'll say this about the wide receivers class. There's no one that really stands out. There's no, top tier, Malik Neighbors, Odunze. There is no wide receiver like that in this class, I don't think, unless it's Emeka Ibuka. We'll see where that lands, but I really just think that there's a lot of quality wide receivers, very skilled. They can do a couple things well, whatever. Will there be someone that breaks out? Absolutely. There'll be one or two wide receivers that definitely break out in this class. It's just a matter of kind of pinpointing who it's going to be, waiting for the draft, like Dark Side Dev. Welcome to the chat, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen your name in the chat, so appreciate you coming out and commenting. But there's a lot of players in this draft class, especially in the wide receiver class, that are going to be landing spot dependent, opportunity dependent, and it's just a matter of figuring out who that's going to be. And in these early best ball drafts, that's pretty well impossible, right? Maybe as it gets closer to the draft, after the combine, things like that, then we can start to get a vibe for who's interested in who might go where, blah, blah, blah. But algorithm brought you here. I'll take it, man. Hopefully I earn your follow, earn a like, stuff like that. I'll take it. So moving on to moving on down the list, Deontay Thornton Jr. Don't think I'm going to be too interested. Probably won't be watching tape on him. Kobe Hudson played in the Shrine Bowl, I believe. I think he was practice player of the week for the Shrine Bowl. But I don't think I'm going to dig in too much on his tape, if I'm being honest with you. Ben Haskell, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. But I don't think I'll dig into Kobe Hudson, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think it'll be necessary. If anyone in the chat thinks I should, let me know, and I'll put him on the list. But Ricky White III from UNLV, man, this kid was absolutely a standout, in my opinion. He had almost half the passing production or receiving production, quarterback production over the last 2 years at UNLV. Can and wants to play special teams. He came out and said, I'm happy to play special teams. He blocked a couple kicks for UNLV. He's done some returning, I believe. I could be wrong on that one, but yeah, Ricky White was definitely a guy that I was surprisingly, happy to watch tape on. I really liked what I saw. I think he's a Z trait kind of guy, wide receiver 2, could play inside or out. Dude's a dog. Again, I like his hips and his shoulders, nice jab step. He can get open. That's who I had pegged for the Steelers. Yeah, not to get too off topic, but Luka to the Lakers. I saw that too. I'm really not a big NBA basketball fan. I'm a big college basketball fan, but I was pretty shocked when I saw that. I don't really pay attention too much to basketball, but that was that was ridiculous. And to me, I mean, someone, who was it on Twitter that's saying, I think it was Justin McMahon. If you guys follow Justin McMahon, he was saying there must be a rift there with ownership, and he's not happy with the Mavericks, which is very possible and makes sense, because that's the only way that trade makes sense, in my opinion. But whatever. Again, not a basketball show, but yeah, I was shocked about that one. Ricky White, one of my favorite wide receiver sleepers. Not a fan of the top wide receiver in the class. Prices on Underdog, too expensive for many. I 100% agree with this. 100%. Just talked about Teteroa and McMillan, way too expensive for me. If you weren't here, Ben, for when I was talking about it, Quentin Johnston was my comp. Again, he's kind of that top 3 wide receiver by default. So I 100% agree with this. I have a few shares of Ricky White. I have 0 shares of Tet McMillan, and it'll probably stay that way unless his price comes down or I get him at a huge discount. So yeah, I think like I just said, I really don't think that this wide receiver class has any, unless it's Ibuka. That's the only guy that I think, at this stage of the game, we could say could be that top tier talent, Neighbors, Adunze, that type of guy in this draft class. I really don't think it exists, but if it does, that's my guy. So yeah, I think the Steelers is where he'd be a great fit, Ricky White. I think that makes tons of sense. Running mate and potential to kind of take over from George Pickens, depending on where his head's at. Right. So, yeah, I loved Ricky White. I'll be higher on him than most, maybe not, higher than Ben. We'll see, but I'm very high on Ricky White. I'm already picking him in drafts, and I'll keep doing that unless, I see a need to pull back on him. But Nick Nash, I really would have liked to see him at the Senior Bowl. He went to the Shrine Bowl, supposedly practiced really well, which is great, but I really would have liked to have seen him at that higher tier bowl game or all-star game against, higher talent. So that kind of hurts him from me. I might have to slow down on Nick Nash a little bit. I've drafted him only a few times, but he's a high school and college quarterback. He came into college as a quarterback. He has that NFL frame and speed, a lot of out routes, a lot of dig routes, seam routes, slot type of stuff. A lot of just schemed open type of stuff. So hence why he was a Triple Crown winner, receptions, yards, and touchdowns in college. He should have won the Biletnikoff. I will say that 100%. He should have won the Biletnikoff over Travis Hunter, no question about it. Not that that changes anything, as far as his value, but long game wide receiver kind of sets up defenders a little bit is how I saw him. He'll hit those out routes, and then boom, a little kind of sluggo slant and go type of thing, out and up type of routes, and then just completely dust his defender. So that also, you have to focus on him offensively if you're going to have him running routes like that and try to like play that long game, that 60-minute, one-on-one game against his defender. So I don't think he's going to be that guy. In the NFL, I really don't, unless he is a lot like my comp. I think my comp is definitely aggressive. I'm not saying he's draft him as he's Puka Nacua. That's not what I'm saying. I just saw some flashes of Puka in there, his ability to get open, big body guy, all that kind of stuff. The Rams, hence the comp. So there you go. Jump into the chat a little bit. I think Tet can look better with good QB play. He also is going to have to adjust to an entirely new quarterback, an entire new offense, right? He might not be that guy at the NFL level as a rookie. He's only caught balls from Fafita since he was in grade 9, grade 10, something like that. He's only caught balls from the same quarterback for 5-6 years of his entire high school and college career. So he's going to have to adjust to a new quarterback for the first time essentially in his life. So yeah, you might be right here, but I don't know. I don't know that. So we'll kind of see. And I didn't absolutely love what I saw on tape. It actually kind of pulled me back on my opinion on him, but rookie tight ends are a real value on the board. I 100% agree. Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland, and then even like Fanning. Favorite 15th round click. I like Harold Fanning as well. We talked about it briefly. Let's jump back over. Arroyo is another guy that I'm definitely going to be quite high on. Gunnar Helm could be that guy. Mason Taylor, Gadsden, almost 1,000 yards, 2 of his 4 college seasons. So yeah, I 100% agree with that. There's some real values at tight end right now. If anyone else, I'll be jumping into a draft after I'm done talking about these rookies. But if anyone else wants to jump in with Ben, pop in. A couple in the little board. We'll be doing a draft after we're done talking about some of these rookies. Putt Daddy, what's up, man? OG chat. I'm up in a war room slow, and Golden is an option. Did I miss him on your list? I haven't talked about him yet. We'll get there in a second. I'm actually not very high on Marcus. Is it Marcus Golden? Where the hell is he? Matthew Golden. Geez, I'm not super high. I'll get there. He's at the end of my list here, but we'll definitely be talking about him in a minute here. I don't think I'm going to be as high on Golden as most people are. I think he's that Z trait kind of guy. Did I have a comp for him? I thought I did, but we'll talk about him in a second. Not as high as most, and I don't like his ADP personally. I'll do whatever, big board, little board, biggest board. I don't really care. I'll do whatever anybody wants. Probably just a big board is what I'll do. I'm going to be maxing probably everything that's running right now. I'll probably max all of those tournaments. So I'll do whatever the people want, but probably a big board is what we're looking at. Restrepo falls 20 picks in a lot of my drafts. Easiest click. I agree, but I was a little concerned with that Senior Bowl kind of production and the way, again, I only watched one practice so far. He didn't look great, and then he didn't look exceptionally well in the game either. But I love the tape. I love the tape. As you can see at the top of the list here, might be the best slot receiver in the class. I think he took a bit of a hit for that, how he kind of looked at the Senior Bowl. But we'll see. I'm still going to be drafting him. I wish he was like, what's the difference between 5'9" and 5'10", but I wish he was a little bit bigger, maybe 5'11", but it is what it is. You can't make a guy grow overnight. So it is what it is. But that's how I feel about Nick Nash. I like him a lot. And he's free at the end of drafts right now. If he's even half of what Puka Nacua is, then, that's a value But I'm not saying Nick Nash is Puka Nacua. That's just kind of who I saw some traits, similar traits when I watched tape. Brew McCoy was supposed to be at the Senior Bowl, but he pulled out. I'm not really sure why. Again, looks like a big body, very, very physical, very muscular wide receiver. I don't know if I'm going to need to watch tape on him, but we'll see. Pat Bryan, I liked more than other people, I think. Definitely looked like a solid number 2. Nice run after catch ability, so get the ball in his hands. I forget if he was in the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl. I think it was the Senior Bowl, and he had a nice catch and run, just kind of a screen pass, get the ball in his hands, let him get a few yards, that sort of thing. Good feel for space, quality route tree. Yeah, I liked Pat Bryan. He was pretty he was a massive priority with that offense for sure at Illinois this year. So I like him, but he might. That's another guy, Pat Bryan. That's another guy that's very similar to Jaden Higgins, to Trey Harris is another guy. There's a couple more like that they're all just kind of very, very similar. So, landing spot and opportunity are really going to be the difference between all of these kind of similar tiered, similar style wide receivers. So we'll see how that lands. Jalen Lane had a really good Senior Bowl. He looked really good. That's a guy I wasn't sure if I had to watch tape on. Daquan Felton, I think, had a touchdown as well, but bigger body guy. There's their slot receiver in Jalen Lane, can return, stuff like that. He's on my list. I'm probably going to have to dig in a little more because I did like what I saw out of him at the Senior Bowl, I think, in the game and practice. So I'll be watching Jalen Lane. Not that I expect to be, exceptionally high on him, but I'll definitely take a look at the tape. Jalen Knoll is a guy that I really, really liked tape on. I loved him. Iowa State, kick and punt returner, slot receiver, great hands, crisp routes. He had this he found the space between defenders. So this whole, you take him, I got him sort of thing, with the defenders confusing each other and not knowing who's got him in his own coverage sort of thing. And he just runs between two guys and he's gone for a touchdown. A lot of big playability. I really, really like Jalen Knoll over Jaden Higgins, and it wasn't particularly close for me, although they play completely separate positions realistically. But I will be drafting some Jalen Knoll. He was also I believe he was the practice wide receiver of the week, voted on by the players, which you wouldn't have known from like going off of tweets and things like that from people that were there. So it goes to show that, players and media and analysts see things differently. But I really like Jalen Knoll. I really want to focus on clicking his name more because there's a lot of those, Ricky White, Nick Nash, who else? Jack Besh. There's a bunch of guys at last pick of the draft. They're all very, value in my opinion. And Jalen Knoll is kind of one of them as well. So definitely a guy that I liked. I saw a little Jaden Reed in him. Maybe not quite as tall, but very, very similar in my opinion to that type of wide receiver. I like Alec Ayomanor. Let's talk about him. I'm going to take a sip of water because it's long-winded. So if you're new to the channel, if you don't really know, I'm Canadian. I live in Alberta. I live in a city called Calgary, Alberta. And he was born in Medicine Hat. It's about an hour and a half down the road from where I live. So that's cool. That's cool. I'm a homer for the Canadian kids. I'm not going to lie, but as long as it makes sense. And I do like Ayomanor. I do. He's got a very, very, very interesting kind of crazy story. So he was a freshman in high school in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada, right? Had a huge couple games, had a big season, looked really good. And his high school coach said, you need to get the fuck out of here and play somewhere better. Because, yes, I'm Canadian, whatever, but our football is nowhere near, not even close, not even in the same conversation as American high schools. So you need to get the hell out of here, go to the States. If you want to play football professionally, you got to get out of here right now. So he did. So he played in Medicine Hat. Then he goes down to Petey High School in New Jersey. Plays there as I think freshman or sophomore. He was probably in grade 9 when he played in Medicine Hat. So that would not be a freshman or that would be a freshman in the United States. I get it all confused because you guys say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. In Canada, it's just grade 9, 10, 11, 12, right? But anyways, so I think he played his in grade 9 in Medicine Hat, left, went to PD High School in New Jersey, played as a grade 10, I believe, had a good season, everything like that went well. Then is in his grade 11 year, so his junior season, he tore something in his knee, not his ACL. I think it might have been his MCL or something like that. Had a big knee injury after one game, missed the rest of the season, right? So he didn't play as a grade 11 as a junior in high school. Then senior year in high school, COVID, canceled the season, didn't play at all. So he didn't play for his last 2 years of high school, right? Somehow still gets recruited by Stanford. He was pretty heavily recruited, Ivy League. So again, tells me he's an intelligent kid, goes to Stanford, which is a good football school, but it's also a very good, it's borderline Ivy League as well. So it's a very good school as well. So he wanted to have that kind of, in case football doesn't work out, at least I'm getting a good education. So he goes to Stanford as a freshman, rips apart his entire knee again, misses the entire season as a freshman, right? Very unfortunate. That sucks. It is what it is. So he literally didn't play for like 4 calendar years, probably pretty close to it. And 3 seasons, he didn't play football due to injury, due to COVID, all that kind of stuff, which is obviously a big problem. Then he played as a sophomore, got into the lineup, and then in his 6th game, I think it was his 6th game in college after not playing for 3 years, they played a team from Colorado with, one of the best corners in the draft in Travis Hunter. He wasn't on Travis Hunter wasn't on him every single route, every single play, but he was for a lot of it. And he roasted him. Set a school record, 297 yards, 4 touchdowns, had a massive, massive game, had a very good season that year after not playing for 3 full seasons, 2 massive knee injuries, pretty wild. And then he comes back as a redshirt sophomore. And, realistically, it wouldn't have been the worst idea to stay in college for 1 more year. It wouldn't have been a bad idea. But he comes out as a red shirt sophomore, which is a little wild. But yeah, he's just got a really cool story. I like what I saw. Again, another really well put together wide receiver, similar to Jack Besh. Very well put together, jacked, good shape, all that kind of stuff. Looks good. Good feel for coverages, physical for sure. Nice footwork, professional wide receiver. But again, Iomanor, very similar to those other wide receivers, those Pat Bryants, the Jaden Higgins, very similar. So we'll see where he lands, but definitely a guy that I liked. I'm trying to not be a homer. Flashes of Mike Evans in there with some of the physicality. Not that I'm saying he's Mike Evans, because I'm always been a massive Mike Evans guy. Before it was cool to like Mike Evans, but I really, really, really like him. We'll just see where he lands. But we'll jump back to the chat here for a sec. You Canadians call your grades marks. I don't know. What are your marks? What are your grades? Same, whatever. And college uni, love it. No, I don't. No one calls it uni. That's a Australian thing, or maybe UK or something. No one calls it uni. No one that I know ever calls it uni. It'd be either university or college. I say college typically, even though I went to university, I call it college. So no, I don't know. At least no one that I know calls it uni. That's a very, very, very Australian thing to say uni. But either way, Luther Burden, definitely a guy that I'm going to like a hell of a lot less than a lot of other people. I'm going to go back and watch his tape again to make sure I didn't miss something. I don't know. I was not that impressed with Luther Burden's tape personally. Quick, shifty, a little bit of you could use the Debo comp if you want. Some people have, but I didn't think he was too big or fast, to be honest with you. Can work inside, outside, backfield, dangerous in space. I think I'll be lower than most. Yeah, stays on his feet, so he's grounded. I like that about him. And again, that's very Debo, AJ Brown type of a wide receiver, where they keep their feet on the ground, which I don't mind that at all. That's probably the one thing I like the most about his tape. But I'm gonna go back and rewatch it, because I Other people are higher than me. Smart people that I respect their opinion and I respect their takes are higher on him than I was when I watched tape. So I'm going to go back and watch it again and try to be, neutral and just blind to it. I'm not going to go in with any priors, hopefully, and rewatch the tape and see if I see something else, because I was not that impressed personally. But I'm going to go rewatch it and develop that opinion again. Kanata Mumfield was a guy at the Shrine Bowl. Ja'Cory Brooks, former Alabama wide receiver, was at the Shrine Bowl. LeJontay Wester was at the Shrine Bowl. Showed some quality flash in the game as a returner, but I think that's about it for what he'll be in the NFL. So I don't think I'm going to need to go watch any of these guys really at the any of these guys' tape. Sorry, I don't think I'm going to go back and watch any of these guys. Arian Smith, maybe he popped off a little bit in the Senior Bowl. So I might go check out some of his tape. Kyle Williams as well. I think he's on my list. I will go check out his tape. So there's probably about 3 or 4 more wide receivers that I got, or maybe more like 5 or 6 that I got to go watch tape on still and develop an opinion before I jump into these rankings. Obviously, especially Travis Hunter, Jack Besh, like those are guys that I have to watch before I start ranking guys. But yeah, we'll see where it all lands. Jackson Meeks was a guy pointed out to me from someone on Twitter. So I am serious. If you like a guy, actually Jimmy Horn was a guy that I need to check out, right? Where did he go to school? Darkside Devi, where did he go to school? Let me know. I'll put it in there, but he's a guy that I'll go watch. So again, if someone points out somebody that they like that I don't know about, I'm going to go watch the tape. I absolutely will. So if there's anyone that's not on this list that you want me to take a look at, put it in the chat and I'll take a peek. Jackson Meeks was a guy pointed out to me. Again, another one of those guys, another one of those Pat Bryants, Jaden Higgins, another one of those big body physical wide receivers where, I like them, but there's just a lot of them. So we'll see. Yeah, I thought it was Colorado, Jimmy Horn. That's what I said earlier. So anyways, yeah, I'll go take a peek. But Jackson Meeks, yeah, very similar to all these other big body, strong physical wide receivers. So nice release package, good hands, played at Georgia for 3 seasons. So, he has that kind of pedigree. Then goes to Syracuse where everybody kind of blew up a little bit with Kyle McCord coming in. And then not afraid of the middle of the field, which I liked, X traits, that sort of thing. So I didn't mind Jackson Meeks, but again, it'll be landing spot opportunity. Jimmy Horn's there. I'll go and take a look. And then the 2 Texas wide receivers, Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to really, I was a big fan of Xavier Worthy last year and Jatavian Sanders, even though, I thought it was their college tape was to their kind of detriment because I really don't like Quinn Ewers at all. Right. So Quinn Ewers was thrown to Golden and Bond, both transfers this year. They both came to Texas from elsewhere. One was Alabama and can't remember where Golden came from. But Isaiah Bond was in Alabama. Either way, they both transferred to Texas this year. And again, I think that their tape gets hurt by a quarterback like Quinn Ewers, who I really don't like at all. I just do not. Gunnar Helm over the Texas wide receivers. I haven't watched the tape yet, but I was a big fan of Jatavian Sanders last year. So it's the same offense. So I have a feeling I'll like Gunnar Helm as well. But I don't think either of these wide receivers are going to be like super efficient. Maybe their efficiency will be fine, but super, target commanders, they're really not going to be, I don't think. Matthew Golden, I thought was the better of the 2. I thought Bond was a little more gadgety, super fast field stretcher, drags, goes, screens, sweeps, all that kind of stuff, return punts and kicks because of his speed. He didn't really do a ton of it in college, but I think he should be able to, and he better learn how if he wants to make a roster. That's how I felt about him. Small guy runs fast. Like that's great, but it's, I don't know. I wasn't too fond of these 2 Texas wide receivers personally, including Matthew Golden. Good hands, good concentration. Another guy that kept his feet on the ground. So I do like that about Matthew Golden. Concentration when balls in the air. He was good at adjusting his body to make the catch. Kick return option, good in space. I think he's a Z wide receiver, Z traits in my opinion. Good first step, good release package. But I don't know. I would have liked to have seen more production from one of these two. Even though, yeah, it's a stacked offense. Gunnar Helm, their running back, whose name is escaping me, sophomore, who's going to have a big junior year most likely. He was highly productive as well. But I just wanted to see a little more production. Yeah, I'm not as high on these Texas wide receivers as most, especially Golden, as just because of cost with Golden. I actually am a fan of Golden over Bond as a wide receiver prospect, but for cost, ADP cost in drafts, I'm pretty low on Golden right this second. We'll see. Maybe that changes, but as it sits right now, I'm a lower than most. Maybe I'll go watch his tape again because I am hearing a lot of love for Golden out there, again, from smart people that know what they're talking about, smarter than me. So I'll probably go watch tape again, or maybe if there's some new tape out there for Matthew Golden, and then Luther Burden as well. I'm just lower on most than for both of those prospects. So maybe I'll just go watch tape again, try to be fresh and see what I see the second time around. Let's go to the running backs, then we'll get into a draft. So this is where I've done the majority of my work so far is on this running back class, and you'll see it right at the top there. Probably the only one out there. I don't have Ashton Jeanty as my number one running back. It's not just to be contrarian. I had Marvin Harrison as my number one. Bijan Robinson was my number one. I'm not just over here trying to be contrarian, but bottom line, he played at Boise State, guys. Like, yes, he was highly productive. Yes, he was very, very good. There's nothing wrong with him. And if you're taking offense by me having him at 2 in this highly just super, super stacked running back class, then I don't know what to tell you. But as far as like just here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say of why I have Henderson over Jeanty. What is the biggest reason? Boise State versus Ohio State. Like, yes, he played well in the college football playoffs against I can't even remember who they played. He played well, but he had like 32 carries. He's their entire offense. So my other big concern is I think that I really don't like seeing running backs get driven into the ground in college. I really don't like to see 800 plus touches in college. I really hate it, actually. I was much lower on a guy like Travis Etienne. I was way, way lower. I had 0% Travis Etienne last year. 0. That was very, very correct of me. Why? He played an extra year of college that he didn't need to do. He didn't necessarily get run into the ground at Clemson, but he had like 1,000 carries or 1,000 touches, in college. So look at Jeanty's touches in college and then think about what he was doing in high school. So he's just been getting run into the ground his entire life. So do I think Ashton Jeanty can outproduce fantasy-wise and real-life-wise, can outproduce Henderson his first 3 years in the NFL? Sure. But I think long-term, Trevion Henderson is going to be a better running back over the span of their careers. I really, really do. He's a bit bigger, a little bit better of a pass blocker. He can do everything that Jeanty can do and potentially catch the ball a little bit better. He was the number one running back coming out of high school in the country. And for me, he's the number one running back going into the NFL. So I see a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs in Trevion Henderson. Did not get run into the ground. I was a big fan. Chain mover, absolute weapon, can do everything you need. Number one running back fantasy archetype, right? Just a stud, 3-down back. And then the only thing with Jeanty, could worry about touches long-term, pinball with legs. He's just bouncing off of everybody and keeps his legs moving. He's a quality wide receiver. He's everything you need. A little bit worried about the size, I suppose. No, it shouldn't be a big deal. He's listed at 5'9". Even if he is 5'8", there's not a concern there. But Trevion Henderson is a little bit bigger. So in those blitz packages, blitz pickups, things like that, give me Trevion Henderson. So overall, take the whole body of work and then think about a long-term thing, right? I'll give me Trevion Henderson. Like in 5 years, we'll see if this take is right or not. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And if you think it's crazy, like this running back class is absolutely stacked to the fucking tits. It is stacked. So and especially at cost, you will not catch me picking Ashton Genty in the second round. You will not. I will pick him probably in the third. I'll pick him in the third. And this isn't a knock on Genty. I'm not over here hating on Ashton Genty. So don't think that that's what it is. He's my number 2 running back. He's everything you could ask for in a running back. He's everything you need. But I just think overall, Travion Henderson, look at Bijan versus Gibbs right now, right? At the time, you'd be listed as insane, as bold, as crazy, hot takes, blah, 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 for saying Gibbs over Bijan Robinson. But look at it right now, going into their third year. How many people are drafting Gibbs over Bijan Robinson right now? Their ADPs are 3 and 4, but there's a lot of people that have Gibbs over Bijan, right? Obviously, we know where they play, blah, blah, blah. There's a little more nuance to it than that, but I think it'll be very similar with these two running backs, again, 5 years down the road. So Alvin Kamara, but faster is what I had for Travion Henderson. He can fit in any sort of a system. And that's just what it is, man. That's my number one running back. I'm going to be exceptionally high exposure to Henderson. I already am, and it's going to continue to stay there as long as Ashton Genty's ADP is in the second round and Travion Henderson is 8th round or something like that. Give me all the Travion Henderson. So let's take a look at the chat. Ben, this is bold, maybe. I like Henderson a lot, to be honest. It's just the injuries. I'm not too concerned about any injuries personally. I'd be more concerned about Genty's injuries in the future at the NFL level. We'll see. I like Genty, but people are saying he's better than Bijan. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with that personally. I think Bijan is very, 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 very good, and Genty will be too, but I don't think he'll be there with the Gibbs, the Bijan, and the Travion Hendersons of the world. I think their ADPs will kind of flip flop for next year. We'll see. But I'm higher on Henderson than I am on Genty. Henry had over 12,000 rush yards in high school. I'm excited to see if Genty's got the sauce. Derrick Henry's also double his size, not literally, but Henry's a different animal altogether. When you're bigger, stronger, faster than any linebacker in the NFL, and you play running back, you can get away with a lot more. Genty's not that guy. 5'9", 200, 210, 205, whatever. That's not Derrick Henry. So he cannot take the pounding that Derrick Henry can, right? And Derrick Henry's just a freak. He's a Hall of Famer, So I just don't like that. But I like the boldness, though. Sure, it's bold. It is what it is. Derrick Henry's different than anybody else. He's one of one, man. He's one of one. He's the same size as Jerome Bettis, but double the speed, right? Way faster. Like he's one of one. So I really don't think this is that bold. I really don't. I think I'll take heat for it. Obviously, I kind of already am in the chat. But I just think that Ashton Genty is being hyped up too much. I really do. Like, he played at Boise State, guys. Let's slow it down a little bit. He's fucking Mountain West. Like, this isn't the Big Ten. This isn't the SEC, right? Like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit on Ashton Genty. Is what I'm saying. Like, this is from a guy, me, who picked Ezekiel Elliott as a rookie. I took Ezekiel Elliott 2nd overall in a redraft league. So I'm not hating on the player, whatever. It's just, it is what it is. Like, we got to slow it down a little bit, I think. That's just my take on it. It's not that crazy to take when you know ball. Appreciate that. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy at all. Just interesting to hear for sure. Yeah, I'm probably the only one I'm probably the only one anyone has seen that has Henderson over Genty. I haven't seen anybody else yet, but the tape don't lie, man. And just like the stat profile, the amount of carries, the amount of touches, and where he went to school is a big difference for me. So there you go. There are takes that make draft season so much fun. Yeah, these are the takes. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, you gotta change it up. Like, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing it just to be contrarian. I'm really not. I'm not doing it to be different. It's just what I see. It's just what I saw on tape. And again, everything that I've laid out, I hope I've made a good case for why. I'm not just out here talking shit, making stuff up, pulling stuff out of my ass. I'm not the pod father over here, right? Like, at least I don't think I am. But yeah, I'm pretty hard and firm on that take personally. So there you go. I knew that would rustle from some feathers. That's why I left it till the end. To kind of go into it. Plus, this is where I've done the majority of my work is on this wide or running back class. I would give you shit if I felt you didn't know ball, but you're talking like you know football. Appreciate that. I think I do too. That's why I'm maxing all of these early best ball tournaments. I was really live to have 5 big board teams in the final this year. I had two in the finals this year. But I was really live if CeeDee Lamb kept playing that game. I think I would have gotten a few more teams in, literally 2 more teams in, at least with just CeeDee Lamb last year. But either way, Podfather guys, a dork. Yeah, I like some of the player profiler guys. Theo is awesome. I like a few of those player profiler guys, but yeah, the Podfather just doesn't do it for me. But back to the rankings. Let's wrap this up so we can get into a draft. We got Caleb Johnson, number 3. From Iowa, nice bounce, lull you to sleep, then crush a home run. So he's that kind of grinder where it's, 3 yards cloud of dust until he busts off a 40-yard touchdown, right? You better get him down. He would bounce off guys. You gotta put him on the ground is kind of what I found with him. 3-down NFL, professional running back, all you need and more, just everything you could ask for. And there's a lot of that in this year's draft. So I'm high on a lot of these running backs, which we'll dig into or keep going on. So Marion Hampton, really nice contact balance, 3-down back, good vision, good burst, enough speed to break away, 4.5 guy, probably, 4.5 flat. If you can get into the 4.4s, cool. If not, if he's a 4.55 type of guy, perfectly fine, as long as he's not like 4.69 or something stupid, which I really don't think will happen. Does not go down easy. He's a grown ass man. This is a grown man. He's a big kid, big kid that you have to put down. So I was torn. There's a couple places where I was torn with my rankings on the running backs, and this was one between Caleb and Hampton, or Caleb and Omarion, Johnson and Hampton. I was really torn with who's 3 and who's 4. Not that it exceptionally matters, but Hampton was definitely a guy that I really liked. Yeah, good contact balance. I like that. Josh Jacobs, I don't mind that. I don't mind that comp at all. That's a good comp. I really don't mind that. But yeah, his contact balance really, was really impressive. He'll put a defender on his ass and then run over him for a touchdown. So definitely like Hampton. Devin Neal, I think he'll be higher than most, although I think he's rising right now. I get the feel that he's on a lot more people's radar after his measurables came in. So maybe I wish he wasn't in the Senior Bowl and got those measurements of 6 foot 220 with the speed that he has. So big fan of Devin Neal. I thought he should have came out last year. Went back to college. Again, the carries and the touches can be a little bit concerning, but I would have rather he came out last year. So amazing vision. Obviously, the height helps with that. He's got really excellent cuts, breakaway home run speed, make a guy miss in a phone booth, 3-down traits. So if you can do that sort of thing, make a guy miss in a phone booth and you're 6 foot 220 with home run breakaway speed, good luck. So really high on Devin Neal. I think he could be somewhere between, when I was watching tape, I saw a lot of Jerome Ford when Jerome Ford was with Cincinnati in college, and then all the way up to Bijan Robinson. So somewhere in the middle there, obviously we'll see what Jerome Ford does now this year. He had a tough second year. He had a good rookie year, tough sophomore season. We'll see what he does in his third year, but anywhere between Ford and Bijan Robinson sort of a thing is where I think he could land. But I love me some Devin Neal, definitely higher than I feel like most people are. Probably more people have Judkins ahead of Neal, but I like Devin Neal quite a bit. So, but then we got Quinshaw Judkins, the other Ohio State running back. Power runner. He'll bowl you over one-on-one. You can't go one-on-one with this guy because he's going to win against most linebackers and any DB. 4.4 speed, I believe. I'm excited for the combine here. For what he runs. I think he's 4.4, which would be amazing at his size. Good enough hands, might have some fumbling issues. I don't know, because it's really hard to find the fumbling stats in college. It's kind of a pain in the ass, because but I saw him put the ball on the ground a couple times when I was watching tape. So that's why there's a question mark there, because I think there could be fumbling issues. I'm not 100% sure on that, and I couldn't find any stats to back it up. So David Montgomery to Marshawn Lynch, that kind of a guy, big body, power back, goal line back, could score a lot of touchdowns at the NFL level. Definitely a guy that I'm still drafting for sure. Now it gets a little tighter, and I'm battling right now between Cam Scatabo and Ollie Gordon. So what sucks about that is Ollie Gordon was at the Senior Bowl. Cam Scatabo sat out the Senior Bowl. He was invited, but he sat out because, Arizona State went further than a lot of people thought they would in the college football playoffs. And Cam Scatabo got run into the ground a little bit in that semifinal game, right? Like he stood on his head. He was puking on the sideline. He had a great game, but it was a tough game because he was grinding. And he's the power back. He's got that dog in him. That's why from that game, that semifinal game, man, he was back on the field, fucking grinding it out. So good for him. He looks for contact. He'll run at you instead of away from you. Did anything and everything to be on the field. This dude played a little bit of quarterback for a bit. He was playing all kinds of different positions, did whatever he had to do. Former Div 2 guy, Sacramento State, right? And then battles, gets to Arizona State, does anything he can to get on the field. And I like that sort of thing. So I'm battling right now between Cam Scatabo and Ollie Gordon, who looked really good at the Senior Bowl, really good. Doak Walker Award winner in his junior or sophomore year, his second year at Oklahoma State. Runs a little funny, kind of like wide open, has his arms kind of all over the place, but he's fast as fuck. Height helps good vision for sure. He's a little bit taller. I think he's 6'1", 220 again, or 230, I think, 6'1", 230. So big body guy, but faster than, he should be at that size. Tough to bring down. Zone runner, finds the hole. Comped him to Le'Veon Bell. So really, really patient, I thought, then hits the hole when he sees it. So I saw some Le'Veon Bell in there, especially with the size, just maybe a little bit faster. We'll see what he runs, but I think he could be a good fit with the Steelers if Justin Fields is their running back. So, if it's just, I think we all know that Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are very, very different quarterbacks, right? So I think he would fit better with the Steelers if Justin Fields is the quarterback. But either way, I think you could see a lot of Najee in there as well. So I think it'd be a good fit. I think they let Najee go and they draft a guy like, Ollie Gordon, Marion Hampton, Judkins, something like that is what I see the Steelers doing. But yeah, so I'm battling right now. So either way, Ollie Gordon will be either 8th or 7th. I'll finish that a little bit later, but he will definitely be in there. Dylan Sampson, I thought, let's go to the chat quickly. Quinn Allen is the truth. We'll see. I'll be talking about him in a second here. I don't not like him, that's for sure. But I'll talk about him in a few seconds here. Putt Daddy, as a KU fan, I like the props you're giving Devin Neal, and I agree with your assessment of him. Having watched him throughout his career, appreciate that. Yeah, like he's good. I really like Devin Neal a lot. So probably higher than most. Maybe not you being a KU guy, but I like him a lot. Scatabo's a Kyron Williams clone. Yeah, bigger, definitely stronger. More of a power back for sure than Kyron Williams, but I don't hate that. I don't hate the take. I don't hate the comp. Let's talk about Dylan Sampson. That's a guy I thought I was going to love. I like a lot of Tennessee running backs, right? All the way back to Alvin Kamara. I liked Jalen Wright a lot this past season. Didn't really work out. We'll see what he does in his second year, but I thought I was going to really, really like Dylan Sampson. I really did. And it was another one of those guys like Ted McMillan where I thought going in I was going to love him, and then the tape just showed me something else. Worried about pass pro and size, bit of a grinder, professional running back, James Cook, I saw a little bit, but not as fast for sure. Maybe the Rams. I thought if you're looking at like a Kyron Williams clone, Dylan Sampson might be that guy, more similar to Kyron than I think Cam Scatabo. But I don't know. I just thought I was going to like him a lot more. He might even fall out of my top 10. We'll see. There's a couple guys that I like a lot. I'll get to in a second, but I thought I was going to like him a lot more, and I did. So maybe I'll watch some more tape and see if anything else pops, but we'll see. So Donovan Edwards, I don't think I'm going to need to watch tape on him. Michigan running back, quality, but I don't think I'm missing anything there. I love me some Jarquez Hunter. Love me some Jarquez Hunter. Completely free at the end of drafts right now, and I'm gobbling up a fair amount of Hunter. He played for some awful teams at Auburn. Auburn is really not a good football school right now. Haven't been for a little bit, but give me all the Jarquez Hunter. Incredible feet, pound for pound champ. One-on-one for his size, he's putting linebackers, certainly DBs, on their ass and running past him with this 4.3 breakaway speed. He's got really nice vision. Played as a true freshman. Might get overlooked, I think. That's what I had here, and he has so far been getting overlooked in this class, and I think it'll probably continue until maybe the Senior Bowl, where he the Combine, where I think he'll show out, especially on the track. I think you'll see that speed, and then he could be a steal. So the Broncos is where I had a fit for him as a Thunder and Lightning piece. If we look at last year, is it last year with Audric Estime? Where is he at? There he is. Audric Estime, who went to the Denver Broncos. Guess who my comp for Audric Estime was last year? Mark Ingram. Right? So I don't need to tell you guys about the Saints. Mark Ingram with the Saints, right? Along with Alvin Kamara, a little Thunder and Lightning. It's pretty clear that Sean Payton likes that style in his running backs. So I think with Audric Estime being that Thunder piece, that, Mark Ingram, and then a guy like Jarquez Hunter being that lightning, fast kind of, style Alvin Kamara. He showed his pass catching chops a little bit in the Senior Bowl too in the game. So I like that. Kamara and Ingram was filthy. Absolutely. No, they didn't, because Kamara's never run for 1,000 yards in his career, but Ingram ran for 1,000 yards, and Kamara was, a fantasy stud. So I think something like that is going to shake out in Denver regardless, because Audric Estime is already there. And then you have, Jaleel McLaughlin, you got Blake Watson, who I really liked last year. And then, they had Javonte Williams, who I think they'll completely let go. I think they definitely draft another lightning type piece for that running back for that running back room for the team, but I don't know who it's going to be. But Jarquez Hunter, I think, would fit nicely in that offense. So Montreal Johnson, probably not going to watch any of these three. Khalil Mullins, another Michigan running back, but I don't think I'll watch any of these guys. Maybe Jonah Coleman, maybe, but let me know if you guys think I should. Brashard Smith from SMU, former wide receiver, and he has a wide receiver's body. So he's about 6 foot, 190, something like that. Doesn't have the size to be a 3-down back, but he can be a pass catching option in a lot of NFL offenses. Nice 3rd-down receiver, kick returner, get him in space, wide receiver hands. So he's got very, very good hands. And I think he'll end up being one of those types of running backs, 3rd-down running backs. And we'll get into a couple more that I think are like that in a second here. Taj Brooks had a really good Shrine Bowl game. Big body guy. Yeah, these are they're very similar, very, very similar. I think Damian Martinez is much more coveted coming out of high school. He was a beast, and he's a little bit younger. He's only 20, whereas Taj Brooks, I think, is at least 22, 23. Probably should have came out a year early, but I think he wanted that record at Texas Tech. So he's the all-time leading rusher at Texas Tech. That's great. Volume and touches concerns me. His high school and his college touches, that really concerns me with Taj Brooks, but he's a big guy, so he could take a little bit more. Nice vision, good enough speed, patient, really nice jump cuts. So makes a guy miss in a phone booth a little bit. Combine measurements will be very interesting. How much does he weigh for his size? Because I think he's only going to come in at about 5'9", but is he going to be like 230, 5'9", 230, and then is he going to run in the 4.6s? I'm not so sure. I'm just interested to see what his combine measurements will be. I don't not like him, but he's definitely going to fall out of my top 10 for sure. In this stacked running back class, I think he could get overlooked and missed a little bit. Another guy I'll get to in a second later, but Damian Martinez, Mario Anderson from Memphis, very similar to Taj Brooks as well. A little bit of a bowling ball. We'll get to him in a second though. So there you go. I think he'll fit well with the Chiefs. I think that makes a lot of sense. They need that. The same style as a guy like Kareem Hunt, right? Taj has a mammoth I think you mean Mammoth, not Monmouth, the school, but Mammoth thighs. Absolutely. He's a big kid. He's a big guy, power back. So we'll see where he lands as like a thunder piece. Raheem Sanders is he's a staying it for me. I watched his tape. I don't think he'll get drafted. Half of what you get from Taj Brooks is kind of what I saw with Raheem Sanders. I'm pretty off on him. Decisive runner, one cut north south. Not a ton there, I don't think. Power back at best. Not a big Raheem Sanders guy when you have a guy like Taj Brooks, Giddens, a couple other guys that I think could fit that mold a little bit better. But DJ Giddens, I liked. Again, one cut north south would be great in a read option, I thought. I think he'll fit in a read option style offense with a dangerous rushing quarterback. Good size, physical, excellent jab step, good first step sort of thing. Really good vision. He's a bit taller as well. So again, Commanders, where I think he could fit as like a read option, sort of a running back, either stick in his belly, pull it out and go. Lamar Jackson, but they're good at running back. So I think the Commanders might be a good fit for Giddens. And then Bayshaw Tootin. If you haven't watched Bayshaw Tootin's tape, do yourself a favor. Go check it out. From Virginia Tech, again, some bad-ish teams. Wins one-on-one in space every single time. Three down traits. If he gets to the second level, he's pieced out. He's already gone. He's already in the end zone. Home run hitter, juice for days, 4.3 speed, slippery as fuck, can return kicks. He's one of my guys. He's another guy that I'm drafting almost every time in the 20th round in drafts, completely free. Senior Bowl invite. Played a fair amount in the game. Give me some Bayshaw Tootin. I like him a lot. I'm interested to see what he comes in at measurement-wise. I think he was fine. They did do the measurements at the combine, so I don't remember any red flags there. But yeah, love me some Bayshaw Tootin. He'll probably be in my top 10 along with Jarquez Hunter and then Ollie Gordon as well. That'll make up my final picks. That's why I'm conflicted with Dylan Sampson here, but love me some Bayshaw Tootin. RJ Harvey was interesting, running quarterback in high school, right? So he played a little bit of quarterback. Tore his ACL in 2021. Shouldn't be a concern. Offers some wildcat options for a creative OC. He's got a ton of juice, little ball of energy out there. He was an honor student, so he's a smart kid, versatile back. I think he'd be best in 8 to 12 touches. You don't want to overdo it with him. I think he could be that third down back. I wanted him to be a little bit bigger. The dude's 5'7", so that's a bit of a concern. He did look good in the Senior Bowl practices so far, and then in the game he looked good. And then there's some creativity there that you can use with RJ Harvey. And he threw a touchdown, I think, pass, or he threw a big pass in the Senior Bowl game because he used to be a quarterback. So that was really good to see them utilize that. It's just a 5'7". The concern with the size. Tajay Spears is who I comped him to. You go to the Dolphins and be, that wildcat running back, throw the ball if need be, or a little bit, doing some different things with a creative OC in Mike McDaniel. So we'll see. But I don't mind RJ Harvey. Woody Marks didn't mind. Might be a little too small for pass pro. He kind of popped off the screen a little bit. I liked his tape. Really, really nice hands. He caught a lot of balls in college. Underrated and will most likely get lost in the class a little bit, I found. And then a little bit of a chain mover. So third down back, again, definitely another one of those third down back type of guys where not necessarily 3 down traits, but you can definitely get him out there in third down. And there's a good chance that he's going to help move the chain. So don't mind Woody Marks. Won't make it in my top 10, but don't hate it. Marcus Yarns, Jaquindon Jackson, Corey Kinnear. I don't think I'll be watching tape on these guys. Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, sure. I don't think I'll be watching too much tape on these guys, but let me know if you think I should. Damian Martinez, he came up a little bit earlier. Big body, power back. He's got enough speed, especially for his size. He's a big kid, 6'1", at least, I think, 6 foot, 6'1", 230, big body kid with a lot of speed, 6+ yards per carry in his 3 seasons. That was impressive. That was very impressive at Oregon State and then Miami to average 6+ yards per carry for those programs. That was really impressive, especially he's only 20 years old. So he's a young kid, first and second down runner. I don't think he's going to, be out there on third down too much. We'll see, but Dark Side Dev is saying he's great in pass pro. that gets you on the field. It absolutely does. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's tough to find tape a lot of times of pass pro reps in college. It used to be easier. Now it's mostly just highlights and stuff. But either way, I'll take your word for it. With his size for sure. So potentially he could be that 3-down back. But definitely for second down, thunder piece. The yards per carry is exceptionally encouraging. And then again, the speed for his size. We'll see what he runs at the combine. That'll be really interesting. But definitely a guy that I like. No comp, no fit, but I like some Damian Martinez. I'm definitely drafting him a little bit. Definitely a good thunder piece, big body guy. LaQuint Allen came up earlier in the chat there. I liked him. Definitely has a wide receiver body and wide receiver skills, right? He caught a ton of balls for that team. So he's absolutely at least a 3rd-down back, but his height and he just looked like a wide receiver out there more than he looked like a running back for me. Upright, long strider, right? Could probably do more with a little less carries, I think, that he had in college. I think he had like 245, I think is what it was, carries, and only averaged about 4.3 or 4.5 yards per carry. So I think he could do more with less. Hence being that like 3rd-down back and change of pace type of guy. Slippery runner who can get skinny, snap cuts, bit of a pinball, bounces around and gets across the line, right? Either line of scrimmage, 1st down, or in the end zone. So yeah, I think he could be another one of those 8 to 12 carry type of guys or touches type of guys, and can definitely catch the ball with his wide receiver skills. So I don't not like LaQuint Allen at all. He's definitely a guy that I do like. He won't pop into my top 10. It's tough to take him in drafts because there's so many skilled players. There's so much talent in this running back class that it's tough for me to click him over a guy like Tootin or Hunter, or I'd put him right there with Harvey maybe, but Ollie Gordon is going later than I think he should in drafts. But there you go. Trevor Etienne, I haven't watched yet. Little brother of Travis Etienne, who I'm not really a big fan of, mostly because he just got run into the ground and Achilles injury, right? Those are the types of things that really hurt running backs for me. But I'll dig into the tape a little bit. Chances are I probably won't love him. But there you go. And then Mario Anderson, I just like Memphis running backs. You need a running back, see who's playing for Memphis, right, at the NFL level. So runs like a running back though, and can be a wide receiver. Yeah, for sure. Like he looks like a wide receiver to me when I watch him play. He doesn't look like a running back, but he obviously plays running back. He obviously can play running back. I think you need to get him, again, change of pace, 8 to 12 touches total, including carries and catches. So that's my take on Allen kind of thing. I don't not like him, that's for sure. I do like him, but there's other guys that I like more than him. And then, whoever's playing running back for Memphis, take a look at him. Played 3 years for Div 2. So, he has that, desire to keep going and make it. He caught a lot of balls. Not that necessarily he'll be doing that at the NFL level. He's got a nice second gear, a bit of a bowling ball. He'll get completely overlooked for sure. Not that I'm saying need to draft him, but I'll keep an eye on where he goes. Probably as a UDFA, he probably won't be drafted, but see where he goes. And if there's going to be an opportunity, like if you play Dynasty or Dynasty Fantasy and you have like a taxi squad, might not be a bad taxi squad type of running back is all. I didn't hate what I saw is all what I'm getting at. Jaylen Warren was my comp there, who was like a 6th-round pick, I believe, out of Oklahoma State. And that bowling ball type of running style is what I kind of drew me to that comp to Jaylen Warren. So there you go. I'm wrapping up my running back rankings. I got to finish up my tight ends, and then I got to dig into tape on quarterbacks and tight ends. So I've definitely done the most work on running backs for sure, given how deep this class is and how talented this class is. That's where I wanted to really focus first and foremost when it comes to best ball drafting. Speaking of, let's get into it. Long episode already, so I appreciate everybody sticking around. If you're in the chat, hit that like button. If you want to jump into a draft, we're going to do that right now. So give me 2 secs. Let's share the screen. Let's go here. Let's go like that. Let's do that. All right. Jumping on to Underdog. I'm 14 drafts in so far. Nothing crazy. 1 war room, 9 little boards, 4 big boards so far. I've got a fast war room going. My first pick in the draft. Let's do that while we're here. Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. Yeah, I haven't taken enough Neighbors yet. I've taken a few Brian Thomas shares. Let's take Neighbors here. Do I want to? My concern with Neighbors is that we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback here. Could be Cam Ward, could be Shadur Sanders. I mean, I think the volume will be there. So the other difference is with this war room, it's only, I think, a 4 max or a 5 max tournament. So I don't want to, like, I'm way more likely in the big board to take, I want my exposures to be relatively flat between Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, and these 4 max, 5 max or whatever. I don't necessarily want to do that. I want to take my guys. I want to take the guys that I believe in more. And if I'm being honest, I kind of want more Brian Thomas. And I might be alone on that, but it is what it is. Don't need updates. So let's go Brian Thomas Jr. There we go. What else? I've got, did it finally start? My biggest board? Nice. My biggest board draft finally started, finally filled. So that's cool. Anyone I know in here? Not really. Maybe. Anyways, that'll be nice. That finally started. Got a bigger board going. All right, let's jump into the different tournaments here. What are we drafting? Are you ripping, or what draft are you ripping today? I could join a little board if anyone doesn't care. 2 broke for a big board today. All right, let's do 4 max for the war room. Yeah, so I want to get my guys in the war rooms. Let's do a little board, but give me a couple seconds here. I'm just going to go over these tournaments and then we'll jump in. We'll do a little board. If anyone else wants to jump in, just be prepared. So the big board is the main event, as it always is. 3 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 10, 558 seat final. Had a couple in the finals this year. I'm hoping to get a few more. I'd like to, right around 5 would be great in the final. It's already 12% full, which is pretty crazy, but that's awesome. A few more bucks up top this year, 250,000. It was 200,000 this year. So a little bit more money going into it, which is good to see. 3 of 12 is nice. That's the same as it kind of has always been. So I like that. The little board we'll do in a few seconds here. 50 max. I love that. So yeah, I'm going to max all of these. $3 entry, 50 max. This is going to fill first for sure, because it's the lowest dollar value. That's why I'm focusing on it. That's why I'm happy to draft one here today, because it's going to fill first. You got to get your 50 entries in. I've got 41 more. So there you go. 3 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 10, 471 in the final. So very, very similar to the big board. Makes sense. Big board, little board. There you go. It's its little brother. Still 100 G's up top. That is plenty of money up top. So that's really, really good to see. 471, 60 bucks if you make the finals. Wow. Max is 150. So you need at least 3 teams in the final or make it to, the top 100. Interesting. I don't mind that. I'd rather it's top heavy. So that's good. Yeah. 100K up top. That's awesome. So I'll fill that, or I'll max that. The bigger board, I like this one. It's 5 max. So I have one done and one slow, I think, going, or one slow going. Either way, I'm going to max this one out as well. I like this structure. 4 of 12, 2 of 8, 1 of 8, 23 seat final. Dig that. 750 if you make it to the finals, which is a little bit of profit. So that's good to see. 4 of 12 is awesome. And then the 2 of 8 in the second round is really, really nice. 30,000 up top, 20 for second, 15 and 10, really, really layered. I like that. So I'm definitely going to get into this. Definitely going to max my 5. So I love that one. And then the biggest board, 4 max. I've got 1 slow that just started, so I'm stoked on that. I'm going to max this one as well. 4 of 12, 1 of 4, 1 of 4 for an 18-seat final. That's awesome. I like the 4 of 12 and then 1 4 1 4. That's great. And then only 18 teams in the final. What do we got? 4 max. So if you're making money if you make a team in the finals, Even in the semis, you're pretty close to being there. So that's good. That's good to see. I like that. Plenty of money up top, layered again. That's good. I'm definitely going to max that one. I love it. And then the War Room 4 max. I've done 2 so far. I've got a slow going. Only 4,500 entrants, 2 of 12, 2 of 10, 2 of 10, 30 seat. I like that a lot. That's a really cool structure. This is a new tournament this year. So I really like that structure. The 2 of 12, the 2 of 10 and 2 of 10 is awesome. 30 seat final, $100. That gets your money back. So you make the finals, you get your money back. 20K up top, 10K per second. Yeah, plenty of juice. I'm going to fill that one. I'm going to fill all of these. So that's good. It'll take some time, obviously, but let's jump into the little board. So hopefully there's seats open. Jump in. We got 6 seats, waiting on 6. So there you go, Ben, jump in. Putt Daddy, if you want in. Dark Side Dev, you guys want in, jump in. Waiting on 4. So where do I hope I am? I'm trying to pick up as much CeeDee Lamb as I can right now in the first round. So if I'm 5th, 6th, 7th, that's who I'm picking. I think that I think that there's a ton of rise there for CeeDee Lamb, who was going 1st overall last year, 2nd overall last year, and now he was down to like 10th, 11th or something like that, which was wild. But he's risen up to 7. I think he should be ahead of Puka. Not that I don't like Puka. I just think he should be going ahead of him. But I think that probably is where he'll settle. I just think that there's value to be had there. So, yeah, that's who I'll take if I'm around there. Nice. Let's get it. Jamar Chase, I think, belongs at the 1-1. I'm a little torn right here. I don't like this. I don't like that at all. 20 drafts in so far, can't get Chase or Barkley yet. I don't know if I want to take too much Barkley. 345 carries and then another 33 catches. He'll be another year older. I think he's 28, maybe 29. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little concerned about that amount of touches. I'm still going to get my shares when I can. I would, and to be honest, I might wait until, we'll see if I can get him like 4th. It's tough to take Barkley over Bijan and Gibbs right now, I feel. And then I get the 2. Patrick Sully, I know the name. Ben Haskell, we got at the 8. Farachi is in the chat. Thanks for popping in. He's at the 9. You guys can snipe each other while I'm over here at this side of the draft. Who else do I know in here? I think that's about it. If you're in the chat and you're in the draft, let me know. Besides Farachi, Ben Haskell, let me know. Hopefully I get Jamar Chase here. If not, maybe I will take a B or a Barkley share just to see what the build is like. I've been taking JJ at 2, fading Barkley in most round 1 RBs, at least in pre-draft contests. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna fall come summer, come regular best ball, come BBM season. The wide receivers are gonna rise and the running backs are gonna fall. So I really, really want Jamar Chase here for sure, but he should go 1. And Patrick Sully, I know that. Oh, nice. He takes Barkley. That is just lovely. That is just lovely. Obviously, I'm a Chase fan. You can see behind me. So that's an easy click right there. Snap click. But yeah, Ben, you're 100% right, man. These running backs are going to fall. Like Chase is going to be the 1-1. Jefferson's going to rise. CeeDee Lamb's going to rise. Puka's probably going to rise. Amon-Ra should rise. Like what's going to be sorry, this is the way I'll present it with a question. Is there a huge difference between Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane? In your opinion, is there a huge difference between those 2 running backs as far as just production? I don't think it's that crazy of a difference. So, obviously where you are in drafts, like being in the top half or the bottom half, that changes things. But we'll see what happens in the summer. So I don't disagree with that take at all. I'm probably going to be fading some Barkley personally. I don't mind Bijan there. Like I like Bijan in the top 5. So yeah, we'll see where it levels out. And I probably will do rankings eventually. I just have to get more of a feel for some of these rookies, and then I'll start plugging away at some rankings. Not that I'll draft off of my rankings. The good thing is you can kind of, once you do them, you can kind of toggle between the ADP and your rankings. So that's what I'll do when that time comes. But I think I'll have Bijan over Barkley in my rankings. It's just a matter of where I put these wide receivers. And for me, CeeDee Lamb is going to be higher than probably Justin Jefferson because of the quarterback situation. So if we look at Dak, look at these years. He's pretty well known for being on again, off again, on again, off again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. In theory, he has a bounce back season, right? It's been his whole career, really. So, yeah, I'm probably going to have CeeDee Lamb ahead of Justin Jefferson, ahead of Puka, ahead of Amon-Ra, ahead of all these guys. Wow, Tyreek goes at the back. Wow, yeah. I mean, if he wants him, if that guy wants him, that's where he's got to take him. Like, he's not getting a 36. Oh, wow, he's just going full boomer. Just full boomer Tyreek and CMC, hey? Interesting. Ben, I couldn't convince you about Ashton Genty? It didn't work, or what? I thought I made a pretty good case. He says, fuck you, Cody. I don't care. You're wrong. No, I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's just not for me. I'm not taking Ashton Genty in the second round. I will not. I was also a guy that had zero shares of Marvin Harrison Jr. last year. Zero, not one. Because it did not make sense. It did not make any sense in the world. So there you go. Dark Side Debbie in the 10 spot. Nice. Thanks for coming in, man. You guys are just going to all be sniping each other in the chat. You're all back to back. I don't love this spot of the draft at all. I really, really don't. I really don't like this spot with these running backs. I really, really don't. And these wide receivers, like it's kind of where you're going to take. If Tyreek was here, I would take him. But I'll take Terry McLaurin right now. I really hate this part of the draft. Really, really do. I don't think I'm alone on that. I think everyone else would agree with me that this is kind of it's just a really dead spot in the draft. Yeah, I really don't like it. You feel free to scroll down, do whatever you want to do whatever you think is right. If you're at the front end of the draft, you're getting it, like Jonathan Taylor would have been a snap click. I would have taken Ladd McConkey over Terry. T. Higgins goes a little bit higher than I would take him, given that you don't know where he's going to go and who's going to overspend on him, because someone's going to, and it's not going to be the Bengals. Let's go Brees. I want to make sure I get enough with a new OC, potentially new quarterback. Hopefully the offensive line is in a better spot, which I'm confident it will be. Let's take some Brees Hall. Yeah. You made a good case for Genty. Thanks. Appreciate it. Putt Daddy in another draft to Henderson for the first time. Like your take. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. I'll show you my exposure. I think he's my second highest, maybe first highest exposed so far. Again, only through about 14 drafts, but I'm definitely taking him. I'm going to take a lot of Brees in the early 20s. Yeah. I got to focus on making sure I get enough Brees Hall. Again, I was just about to go off on my take on that. Yeah, it could be he could fully have a super bounce back season. I don't love that Braylon Allen's there because I do like Braylon Allen a lot, We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation. I honestly, as I sit right this second on what are we, February 2nd? Yeah, right this second, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback there. I think Davante Adams is going to be back. And if all that happens, I think Garrett Wilson stays. There's a lot of talk about him getting traded, but if you're the Jets, why on earth would you trade Garrett Wilson, especially if you're still in that win now mode with Aaron Rodgers, with Davante Adams? Why in the world would you trade Garrett Wilson? I don't think 100 catch wide receiver, it doesn't make any sense. So if that all stays the same and they improve that offensive line, which they should, from Olufashanu or whatever, the first round tackle they took this year, Olufashanu, whatever his name is. I'm sure I'm butchering it, but him in the second year, and if they invest some more into that offensive line, which I'm very confident they will, they could be a lot better as far as running back production. Again, change in head coach, change in OC. Yeah, I agree. I really want to focus on purposefully taking Breece Hall and clicking that name. The other thing, or anywhere in the 20s, yeah, I'll take him at the 26, wherever you can get him, sort of thing. It's easier for me to justify him in the third round than the second, but whatever, it's the same. But either way, with these, my whole take on all of these early drafts is I really want to focus on filling out my running back room. I did the same thing last year in the big board early drafts. So I was huge on Derrick Henry, Barkley, all these types of guys that were going later than I thought they should. And it's similar this year. Like Derrick Henry's popped up for sure. Obviously, Barkley has. But there's still some value here. James Cook, Breece Hall, like we just talked about. Chase Brown's slowly falling down to where he kind of should be. And then even like Chuba, I'm kind of off on this year. If you watched the show last year, I believe he was my highest exposed player, period, across the board. So the value was just extreme for me for Chuba Hubbard. And I loved him, clicked his name every day. But I think Kenny Walker is a huge value. Hampton's right there. Kamara still has value. David Montgomery can still get double-digit touchdowns. Caleb Johnson. I'm not a big James Conner guy personally. I think this will be the year that he kind of, gets hurt for good kind of thing. We'll see. He's getting up there in age, but Trey Henderson is absolutely my guy, like we've been talking about. Tracy is way too high for me. I think he could absolutely get replaced in this draft. We'll see, but I'm not clicking his name at this cost. Quinshon Judkins is there, right? There's tons of value at the running back position. And I'm focusing on filling out that running back room and getting there's always a huge amount of value in wide receivers late in drafts, whether that's rookies or quality vets that are going to be on a team. And that's all you're trying to really dig into and look for at the end of these drafts. Who's going to be on a team and who's going to have a role. And I think there's a lot of wide receivers at the end of drafts that, qualify there. So as long as you have like 4 or 5 quality wide receivers, I think you can fill it out with some quality pieces that, are going to be on the field and are going to have a role. So we can dig into that a little later in the draft. But what do I want to do here? It's definitely going to be a wide receiver, no question. And it's Rome Odunze for me. Again, Ted McMillan is going way too high. There's no way in the world he should be going above DK Metcalf. No way in the world. Or Davante Adams, or Jordan Addison, or Waddle, in my opinion. You want to put him there with Pickens? Be my guest. Go nuts. But Waddle, Addison, Adams, Metcalf should all be going ahead of Ted McMillan, in my opinion. It's Rome Odunze here for me. I think he takes a big step forward. I like the Bears this year. I do. Ben Johnson obviously comes in. Maybe we'll talk about Caleb Williams a little bit later because there's a good chance he ends up on this team. We'll see, but we'll talk about him a little bit later. I'll definitely be taking another wide receiver here. So there's an example of someone really focusing in on the running back room, which isn't a horrible strategy in my opinion at all. But you're going to be weak. You're going to fall behind at wide receiver. You might want to take 9 or 10 wide receivers, right? So it's definitely one of these wide receivers, and it's one of these. It's one of these guys, and it's probably DK for me. Dude's just a beast. Obviously, the offensive coordinator, the head coach was not happy with the offensive coordinator, hence him being fired. They needed to get the ball more to DK. Yes, JSN is a very, very good wide receiver. You could argue he's the wide receiver one, but damn, I'm 100% definitely not getting DK. Yeah, he's a huge value for me. Like, it was a bit of an off year for sure, but Geno Smith isn't the best quarterback in the world. He's also not the worst. But obviously, the head coach was not happy with the offensive coordinator for not focusing more on DK Metcalf. And I feel like that will be corrected this year. So I'm high on DK. It seems like a lot of sharps are actually fairly high on DK, which is good to see. Dark Side Dev included. So that's encouraging for my take. So I'll keep gobbling up DK Metcalf shares as long as he's this cheap. 5th round DK. Yeah, give me that all day, day. Let's check the chat teams. Hopefully you guys haven't been sniping each other too much because you're all back to back. Amon-Ra, Ben Haskell goes Amon-Ra St. Brown, brings it back with Ashton Genty, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Mike Evans. Quality wide receiver room. It's going to be in the top half. So George Pickens brings in. Nothing wrong with that. Farachi goes Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers. I like that start. Xavier Worthy, I'm really high on. What's his ADP at now? 39. So takes him a little ahead of ADP. I'm perfectly fine with that. I like Xavier Worthy quite a bit this year. I'm all over that. Kyron Williams and then Amarian Hampton. Yep, nothing wrong with that. Good start, balanced so far. Probably going to look at wide receivers soon, I'm sure, but there you go. And then Dark Side Devon. How do you say that? I'm probably butchering it, but Brian Thomas Jr., Derrick Henry, like to start. Lamar Jackson, buy into the Ravens team. Don't mind that. Jane Daniels, you wouldn't let me get him. Hey, just fall to me for some. He's not falling to me anyways, but I would assume you're done at quarterback with that kind of capital. That's a lot of capital to sink into the quarterback position, the onesie type of position, but it can definitely work out, especially in these early best ball drafts. In the summer, I would be against this heavily. But right now, I don't despise it. There's a lot of people that would, but I don't. I don't think it's the worst strategy ever. I think you can absolutely get away with it. Again, if this is big boards or BBM season, I would say that's not a good strategy at all. But right now, I'm okay with it. Kenny Walker, one of my favorite running backs this year. Kubiak system comes into Seattle. I'm pretty high on Charbonnet as well. So any running back in a Kubiak system, gimme. So good pick there. And then Chris Olave, hopefully he bounces back. We'll see who plays quarterback for the Saints this year, but it'll probably be Derek Carr. But great minds think alike. I just snatched up Caleb to go with Rome. There you go. Yeah, so let's talk about Caleb then. Let's talk about Caleb. Emeka Ibuka, what a pick. That might be my wide receiver one. Give me all the Ibuka over Tet McMillan with Price built into it. Where the heck is he? Wherever he went, Tet McMillan. But give me Ibuka all day, every day. Who's coming up here? 71. Definitely want to look towards running back. A lot of wide receivers. Obviously, my guy Trev Henderson would be my pick. Can't, it's for the brand, right? So, yeah, I'm only doing this because ADP is clearly off. Yeah, that's fine. And early right now, I think it's okay. Yeah, it does. Like, and right now it's fine. I'm okay with it right now. Again, if this was in July, I would say you're silly. That's way too much. You're wasting a pick. It's not optimal. It's not a good way to go about it. But right now, I think you're okay. I really think it's fine in the early drafts. Almost took my boy Henderson out of a bunch. Wanted to balance with some Kamara, who I'm light on. That's fair. Like, there's really nothing wrong with. I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to balance Kamara in there as well. I'm trying to purposefully click Kamara's name because he's still that guy. I liked him a lot better last year when there's more value there, right? You're getting a ton of value on his name. So I liked him a lot better there, but I'm purposefully trying to click his name, not necessarily, in lieu of Henderson, but just trying to be more conscious of bringing in Kamara in my team. So that's an easy click for me. Trey Henderson all day, every day. Love me some Trey Henderson. I don't mind double clicking the Ohio State running backs here too, but I don't know if I will do that. I keep talking about Caleb Williams. We'll get there in a second. Do I want to go? I was thinking about Jalen McMillan there, so that's a good pick. Do I want to go running back? I think I'm okay. I don't know if I have to. Certainly don't have to. And then it's like Jaden Reed or Ridley or Shakir. Let's go. I want to focus on a little more Green Bay. Let's get Jaden Reed in there. Myers is a steal, 100%. 100%. Myers is a steal at this next wide receiver tier. I don't disagree with that. I have a lot of Myers. I'm taking Myers over Juwan Jennings, probably over Ridley a lot of times, although it's really close. I'm taking Ayuk is an interesting one for me. That injury was pretty bad. I'd like to see where he's at. I don't think you need to force it in these early best ball drafts. I can catch up in the summer if I really need to on Brandon Ayuk. I think I'm going to be down on him until I see some encouragement out of that camp. But I don't mind Jennings. I don't mind any of these wide receivers really for the tier that they're in. But I think, Jacoby Myers is definitely still a value. Look at the production with the quarterback play there, right? You could argue that they're going to probably improve. I think it's a good chance, and this isn't breaking any ground here, but I think there's a good chance Russell Wilson is the quarterback in Las Vegas this year, which I think would be an improvement and I think would help Jacoby Myers. Plus, I like how he does a lot of different things. He throws the ball, former quarterback, throws the ball a little bit, right? So, give me some Jacoby Myers, and Ben Haskell just scoops him up right there. Good pick. Let's talk about Caleb Williams then. What's wrong with this? The only thing that was wrong with Caleb Williams, obviously, and this isn't breaking any ground either, is he took too many sacks. You could say the offensive line was terrible, and you're not wrong on that. But you could say probably about half of those sacks were his fault, were Caleb Williams' fault, right? So he took some unnecessary punishment, some unnecessary hits, damage, whatever, and it looked bad, right? But this stat line for a rookie quarterback is really encouraging. The sacks are something that he can 100. Like, the problem that I have with people's takes and opinion on Caleb Williams right now is they're acting like he's a finished fucking product. Like, this is a rookie. Slow down, guys. Slow down. Look at this stat profile. And like, he was quality enough, right? Let's slow down on the hate. Like, do you hate that he paints his fingernails? I don't know what it is that, like, you can hate him as a person, but as an NFL quarterback, he's really not that. Like, there's no issue I have with Caleb Williams, right? Especially with a new head coach, especially with a new offensive system. And you're telling me he can improve? You tell me that offensive line can improve? It absolutely can and will. I like their tackles. I think they definitely just send a blank check to Trey Smith and say, hey, come over to Chicago and be our anchor in the interior. And then they draft a guy, spend in free agency, whatever it is. So they're going to improve on that offensive line. And then you're telling me he can't improve as a decision maker? Like, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, even Roma Dunze, if they draft another wide receiver in this quality class or bring in some free agents, right? Like, if they sink some capital, some draft capital in a couple running backs, like, I don't understand all of the hate. Yes, there's some red flags, there's some concerns with Caleb Williams. Don't get me wrong, but the dude can fucking play ball. And he doesn't really turn the ball over. He might take too many hits, yes, but he can improve on all these things. And you're telling me he's like, people are just acting like he's a finished product. And that's my problem. That's my big issue that I have with the hate that Caleb Williams is getting, because he's a rookie. He's a rookie in the NFL. Let's slow down. Let's pump the brakes. Let's give him some time. If he falls flat on his face this season, then maybe some of that's warranted. But let's wait and see a little bit. That's where I'm at with Caleb Williams. I'll take a look at the chat in 2 seconds here. I know there's some comments in there. I just want to figure out who I'm going to be picking here. It'll be Jaylen Warren, even though he's a restricted free agent this year. So a lot of people are thinking like, oh, just wait till we see Jaylen Warren with Najee not there anymore. But he's a restricted free agent. Technically, he doesn't have a contract either. So he may not, but I'm very confident they bring back Jaylen Warren, and he will be there, but there will be some competition. We talked about it earlier. I think a guy like Ollie Gordon could come in and play a similar role. So we'll see, but I do think he'll be there. Pretty easy click for Charbonnet for me. Again, you get a Kubiak running system, and give me the running backs. I don't particularly love it that I have DK as well, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. He's the backup running back too, second running back, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it. But that's who I'm going to be clicking there. Yeah, I'm going to go down this road with Caleb. I'm going to go down this road. I've just been talking about it, so it makes sense that I do. Tyler Warren's a perfectly fine click here. Jonnu Smith is perfectly fine. David Njoku is okay, but I don't know. I need to dig into that situation a little bit more. But let's go Caleb Williams. Let's bring him in, since I was just, fighting for him. So let's bring him in. Let's take a look at the chat here. Baker keeps going earlier. It's too much. He's going too high. Like, he's just going too high. I like me some Baker, and I have taken some shares. I have, even though his ADP keeps rising, I have picked off some shares because I do a lot with Jalen McMillan, and then maybe bring in Cade Otton sort of thing. But I agree, he's going too high. It's got to slow down a little bit. He should be down in this tier, like Jordan Love, Kyler Murray even. He should be maybe not quite this far down. Dak Prescott is right there. He should be going lower, in my opinion. I agree with that. Let's pump the brakes on the Baker love. People are down on Williams because he paints his nails and wears a man purse. Cracks me up. Is it that affects? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't like Caleb Williams as a person. Like, I've interviews and decisions he's made, things I've heard about him, whatever. I'm not like, oh man, I'm defending Caleb Williams because he's such a great guy. Like, I'm not saying he's the most likable dude on the planet, but yeah, this is it, man. Like, who gives a shit? Like, these guys are pieces on a chessboard to us, as fans and fantasy players. Who cares? Like, who cares? You know what I mean? It doesn't affect anything. 100%. It's ridiculous. Get the man even a serviceable on, he can play. Yeah. Like, fix that O-line, right? And he does need to make better decisions. That's for sure. Half those sacks were his own fault. Like, he needs to make better decisions. He needs to slow down with his, wannabe, Patrick Mahomes type of situations where he runs around, does 3 flips in a circle, and then throws a bomb into the end zone. This isn't college football, man. This is not college football. Make better decisions. 1 read, maybe 2. We need to slow him down. Like, maybe 2 reads. Even 1 read and then a dump off. 1 read, running back. 1 read, running back. Tight end maybe. 1 read and a tight end dump off. Like, know where your outlet is. He's got to make better decisions and slow it down for him. Don't allow him to make reads, right? And I think Ben Johnson will be able to do that. He'll come in and say, this is your first look, not there, dump it off. This is your first look. This is your second look, right? Boom. Drag over the middle, whatever it is, mesh concepts, shit like that, just slow it down and get the ball out of his fucking hands as soon as possible. He does a good job of not turning over the ball. 6 interceptions, too many fumbles, but that's because of the sacks. So let's slow this game down for him. And I think all of that can happen and will happen. I do. So I like the value of Caleb Williams this year. I really, really do. What's up with Fat Keenan? Is he back next year with the Bears? I don't think he will be. I think he kind of said that he does want to be. He's okay with where he is. He's okay with being there. But I think they're going to spend their money elsewhere, especially with DJ Moore and Odunze. You got Cole Kmet. I don't think they'll pay him what other teams might. I think he'll go somewhere else. I really do. And he wants to win. He wants to win now. Not that the Bears aren't in that situation, but I think he wants to win. Obviously, he's at that age where he wants to win a Super Bowl. So I think he goes to a team that, might need a piece like that, to get over the hump. Bills, maybe something like that. I don't think Keenan Allen will be back. I really don't. All right. So who are we picking here? Who are we going to pick? I really wanted Jordan Love to fall back to me, but not the end of the world that he didn't. So now I don't really need to worry too much about quarterback right this second. I'm definitely going 3. It's probably going to be a 3-6-8-3 build. Makes the most sense. Marvin Mims is there. I don't mind that. Running back is somewhere I don't mind looking. Take Bigsby, I think, should be a little more valuable. Man, I really like Tucker Kraft, but I don't necessarily I don't mind doing this with the running back and wide receiver, but wide receiver and tight end without the quarterback, I don't necessarily love, especially at this, in these types of drafts, these times. Let's go Tank Bigsby, because I think he should be higher than certainly these two. You could say Najee. I guess I could have went Najee, and I still can. I don't know if I think he'll be on the Steelers. Maybe he will be. And maybe they do just bring him back. And if they do, that's fine. So let's go down that road. Let's go with Najee. And then I'm going to bring in a last round, 20th round pick running back to finish out this room. Rookie for sure, too. How do I feel about Trav Kelsey or Etienne? Travis Hunter? Who we talking about? Ben. Travis Hunter. I've been hearing more that teams want to play DB. They're only interested in him playing DB, as in and sparingly on offense. And that's all we care about in these drafts is what is he doing on offense? My curiosity will be, will he get 6 points for INT, touchdowns, defensive touchdowns? He should. But will he get that? I don't know. But I need to watch his tape still. I don't know if I think he should be lower. If he is playing both sides of the ball, which he says he is going to do, and he wants to, and he will, then he's not going to be as productive on the offensive side of the ball. So is he going to outproduce guys in this range? I don't think he'll outproduce Quentin Johnston. I like Quentin Johnston. I think he's fully live to be 1,000-yard receiver, potentially double-digit touchdowns. I think he's a value at this ADP. Is he going to outproduce Jalen Coker? I don't know. Coker had some good, efficiency numbers, but not a lot of targets. So we'll see. Tillman sat out 5 weeks for a conky. That's a little concerning, but he looked good when he was playing. So can he put up these types of numbers? Alec Pierce, can he put up that type of production? That's the question you need to answer. I don't know that answer yet. I need to watch tape. I'm not picking him where he's at right this second until I watch some wide receiver tape, which is on the docket for me to do today, actually, after this stream, which has gone pretty late, 2-hour stream. Hit that like button if you guys don't mind. If you're watching, appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. But I need to watch tape first and really develop a take first before I talk too much about him, because it is a concern. I will say that, no question. It's a concern that he's planning on playing both sides of the ball. It changes a fair amount. If pick sixes don't count, that suck. McBride's fumble recovery counted, though. Yeah, it should. I think it does, because it's touchdown. It's just any touchdown, right? You get 6 points for a touchdown, no matter what. So I think it will. But and I mean, I guess that would change things. Let's say he has like 3 defensive touchdowns. That changes things for sure, right? So I don't know. I'm gonna give it some time. I'm not in a panic to draft him. It's not like he's gonna be like Malik Neighbors or something, or even Roma Dunze. If he has like a Roma Dunze stat line, I would be surprised. And if I drafted him, pleasantly surprised, right? I don't think it's anything you need to rush into right now. At least I don't think, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to rush into it. That's kind of where I'm at right this second with Travis Hunter. So apologies for not having enough of a take. If I'm being honest, I really should, considering he's the Heisman winner and the Biletnikoff, even though he shouldn't have won that. But I should have watched tape on him. There's just other guys that popped up for one reason or another that I felt like I need to take a look at. Yeah. Where am I going to go with this? I'm definitely not 100% not taking a running back here. Need to dig into some tight ends and quarterbacks for sure. CJ Stroud falling. Rico Dowdle, I'm fine with Rico Dowdle falling. He should fall. He should not be going this high. Free agent and could be completely forgotten with the rookie class coming in. Ben takes Pitts on me, finishes out his wide receiver or his tight end room, takes Pitts. I probably would have double clicked Pitts and Penix right there. So I don't mind that. Obviously, you're hoping probably Penix gets back to you with just Kyler. Maybe not. But I was definitely going to take a hard look at Kyle Pitts with Penix with my back-to-back picks here. So that stinks. I might have taken Stroud there and just more or less planned on naked, if not with a rookie wide receiver. I was going to probably take a look at Richardson. I might have to take 4 quarterbacks here. We'll see. Wow. Yeah, it's a lot thinner. I might just take Penix. I really like Penix. And we'll talk about that in a second. But that's another thing I want to get into in a second here. Don't love the situation, but I am going to take Penix. I'm pretty sure Mooney goes already. Yeah. But I think there's room for a rookie there. Coker, that's a little early, isn't it? Yeah, a little bit. 10 picks. Got to take him if you want him. Coker's the new right now. People are forgetting about Xavier Leggett. I think they need to pay a little more attention to Xavier Leggett. But let's go. I'm going to go Colston Loveland. No, I like your take. The lens I like to see it through is what are the chances he decides to play wide receiver full time. If there's a 10% chance or whatever it is, there's an appropriate price for the upside. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's just a matter of how much they're going to allow him to play wide receiver, right? Like, where does he go? Like, where does he go and what kind of coach is there? I don't know. Like, I think as we get closer to the NFL draft, the buzz will dictate what his ADP does. Like, who's interested, who's not. I think he'll be relatively vocal about things that are happening in meetings. And I think we'll be able to get a good feel of where he's going and if they're going to allow him to play both sides of the ball. Like, yeah, that's great. You can do this in college, Travis Hunter. This is the fucking men's league. This is not college football. And if you are better at one thing or the other, like that's that. Yes, he will be used on offense. No question about it. 100% he will be used on offense wherever he goes. But how much, right? He is not going to be an every down wide receiver, no matter what. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. In these massive top heavy contests, probably a continuation. Yeah, it definitely was. Got sniped on Coker. I like Coker, but I think people need to pay a little more attention. Even though Liget goes higher, people need to pay a little more attention to Xavier Liget. I wouldn't be shocked if Coker gets above him at some point. He's still, we're 24, 2 rounds difference right now, but it's closing, right? So just got taken 10 picks ahead of ADP, so it's closing. But Xavier Liget's quality. That's a quality rookie season, right? Especially with the struggles early on at quarterback. That's a quality rookie season too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm taking both. I'm not hating on either one. I'm taking both for sure, and I'm purposefully taking both because I want to get some Xavier Liget, exposure, and I want Coker exposure for sure. So I'm definitely taking both. It's just don't forget about the other one. Don't forget about Xavier Liget is all I'm saying. Patriots could have him as a near full-time wide receiver. They have a strong DB play and need offensive playmakers. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like as we get closer to the draft, I think we're going to get a feel for that. I think we're going to feel for where he might go and who might take him, and then we can develop a better take. So regardless of me watching tape, which I do need to do, and again, it's on my list of things to do for today, but I think closer to the draft, we'll get a feel for who's going to take him, who's willing to play him on both sides of the ball, and yeah, we'll just get a better vibe for where his value or where his ADP should be. So I'm not in a rush is kind of regardless. Unless I see unless his tape is amazing, unless like his wide receiver tape is unreal, and I'm just like, fuck, I need some Travis Henry or Hunter in my life. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm just not in a rush. Yeah, that's fine. Like 14 to 16, that's totally fine. Getting a bit pricey. Yeah, it's that new. That's why Ashton Genty's flying up the board. That's why Tet McMillan is way too high, right? Everyone wants the new. Everyone wants the rookies, right? So that's why I love these drafts, because I feel like I can take advantage of that and find some other value rookies like Trey Henderson, Emeka Ibuka, right? Those are the types of guys, Ollie Gordon, who just went, right? Those are the guys that I think that you can get value on that people that don't watch tape don't necessarily watch, right? Or know as much about. They're not getting as much buzz, whatever it is. We'll get into this one in a second here. I got to think about who I'm going to be taking. So where are we at? Cole Kmet will be pretty high on my list. Couple 1 tight end teams here. Travis Kelce, yeah. So that could be somewhere that he goes. Kate Otton's there. Is there a Baker Mayfield drafter? No. This guy could take him. Falling behind at quarterback for sure. Oh, I want to touch on that, the quarterback situation with Penix. I'll touch on that in a second here. It's definitely Cole Kmet. This guy probably takes Justin Fields if I had to wager. Yeah. If I had to make a bet, he takes Justin Fields. No, okay. This guy will most likely be taking. Oh wow, he's already gone, isn't he? Bryce Young. Does he take Cole Kmet? Do I need Cole Kmet? I'll take Cole Kmet because I can still take Geno, but I'll be taking Justin Fields if he's there. I got a couple things I want to talk about here. Justin Fields is one of them. Deontay Johnson is another one, and then quarterbacks in general is another one. So hopefully he doesn't double tap. There's no way he does. Takes Geno, which is good. I'd rather Justin Fields. Okay, so where do we want to start? Let's start with the chat. Deontay Johnson. I don't know, man. Again, I'm not in a rush. I will take some shares. Where is he going? Like 19th round right now? Something like that. Yeah. 20th even. So I'll take him in the last pick for sure. He's still young enough. I think he's like 28, 29. I'll take some shares, but I'm certainly not too concerned about it. I'm definitely not going to press it. He's definitely a head case. We'll see where he lands. We'll know before the combine, we'll know before these tournaments are over where he's going to be playing most likely. So I'll wait to see where he lands probably, but even still, 20th round, he has done it. He's an NFL wide receiver. He will be on a team. How much playing time will he get? I don't know. Has he burned all of his bridges? Maybe. It's fine to take, especially in these drafts where it's 20 rounds. Go nuts. Go nuts. Take them. The next thing I wanted to talk about was let's go. So why did I take Penix here? That's kind of where I wanted to get at. I'm taking him naked, right? Almost certainly, unless I get lucky with some whatever wide receiver that goes to the Falcons for some reason, Falcons, whatever. But I don't mind taking naked quarterbacks in these early big boards. I really don't. And I don't think you need to overstack either. Like I've double stacked with the Bears, which, is fine. Go ahead and stack away. But I think it's fine to not. I think it's really, really okay to not stack your quarterbacks, especially if you're getting a little bit of ADP value and you think it's a guy that can put up numbers. I really, really, I think, and I tweeted this months ago, I'm probably going to be very, very overweight on Penix and Drake London, that stack, and probably just those two, maybe with some Pitts. Pitts is going pretty late in drafts. He's pretty cheap. So I don't mind the double stack with Drake London and Pitts, but I'm going to be pretty overweight or very heavy on Michael Penix with Drake London. Obviously we saw it at in the last game of the season. Drake London is that guy for me. He's one of those guys. I'm a big Drake London fan. And if Michael Penix can do what he did in that game, sign me up. So I'm going to be pretty overweight. So I don't mind taking a quarterback like Penix, especially because I fell behind. To be honest, this isn't the greatest quarterback room regardless, but I'm expecting a nice jump from Caleb, Penix, and then Justin Fields I'll talk about in a second here after I make this pick. But I think it's okay to go unstacked. I think it's perfectly fine, especially if they're a little bit of running quarterbacks. Not that Michael Penix is, because he's absolutely not. He's very much a pocket passer. But regardless, I think it's fine to go unstacked in these early big board drafts. I really, really do. But let's get back to it. I'm going to be done at 3 quarterbacks here. I'm just going to say that's it. I'm good. I should be good. I'm definitely going to take 1 more tight end, 1 more running back, and then 3 more wide receivers. And I'm going to be trying to pick off some rookies if it makes sense. I've got no rookie wide receivers so far. And if it makes sense, then I'm going to bring them in. I'll boomer bust take it, man. I'm going to take Savion Williams. I don't, I could be completely wrong, but man, big guy run fast and get him the ball. I was just blown away by his tape. Yes, concerned about the drops. No question. Absolutely concerned about the drops. He was charged with 8 fucking drops. That's unacceptable in the college, at the college level. It's completely unacceptable. But I'm gonna take a shot and say that he can be that guy. He had 12 touchdowns this year. Get the man the ball, and we'll see. I could go Schultz. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little worried about Cade Stover being there. Schultz is still there this year. Sure. He will be on this team. And he's still good. I am a little bit concerned about Cade Stover, but who do I have to fall back on? Maybe Elijah Arroyo, but I don't really like that with this room. You could make case for Gesicki for sure, but there's no guarantee that he's back with the Bengals. And a guy like Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren could be, on the table for the Bengals in the first round. So, guarantee myself some reps. Dalton Schultz is still a quality tight end. He's still going to be on the field kind of regardless. So let's take that higher floor when I'm gambling a little bit on Cole Kmet and definitely with Colston Loveland, even though I really, really like him as a prospect. It hurt to pass on Fanning in 15th, but got to keep Blue Button off. Yeah, fair enough. Who got him? Because I still probably would have taken Schultz if I'm being honest. I don't like to have multiple rookie tight ends. Dark Side Devi took him. I like Jatavian Sanders as well. That's a really quality click. I'll go over all three of you guys' teams as well before we wrap this one up. But that's a quality click. Yeah, Cedric Tillman, that's concerning, man. 5 weeks. He missed 5 weeks with a concussion. That's concerning, man. That is really, really concerning. I liked what I saw when he played. That's for damn sure. Liked what I saw when he was on the field, but that was concerning. The player that made the most money for himself without actually, playing too many weeks or getting on the field too much is Justin Fields. Someone's got to pay him a little bit. Like, looking at the rookie class, if it's Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders, give me Justin Fields and one of these big body interiors or edge rushers, one of these. Give me something else with that pick and Justin Fields in free agency. That's what I'm looking for. Listen, there's not 32 quarterbacks in the world. There's not 32 quarterbacks in the NFL that you can bank on and count on, right? And Justin Fields, say what you want about him as a quarterback, but he puts up fantasy points, and that's all we care about. Like we talked about earlier with Caleb, I don't care that he's not the greatest, thrower of the football. He can run the football and he could score touchdowns with his legs. So I'm okay with that. Give me Justin Fields, and he can win ball games. Like, it was a bit of a tough situation in Chicago, but obviously he showed he can win games with the Steelers. So, give me Justin Fields as a free agent, pay him some money, 3-year deal that's really a 1-year deal, potentially 2, but you can get out of it after 1, similar to Geno's contract that he got. And then help yourself in the draft. That's what I would do. And I think he's, basically shown that he can play in the NFL. He can be an NFL quarterback when there's not 32 of them in the world. There's not. So give me some Justin Fields. Call it the Brandon Cooks discount. Yeah. I'm done at tight end. Done at quarterback. I'm bringing in a rookie running back, one of the guys I like and was talking about in the pre-show there. Ben, you're going to have to explain the Jalen Nailor. I've been seeing a lot of people draft him. I've been seeing a lot of people draft Jalen Nailor. I think he's a free agent, isn't he? Isn't he done with the Vikings? Decent season. Don't get me wrong, but where does he go? And what does he do with it? I actually liked Jalen Nailor's tape. Nailor, sorry. I liked Jalen Nailor's tape in, I believe it was Michigan State, right? Michigan State. I liked his tape, but limited production. And where does he go? I believe he's a free agent. So fire in, if you want to type out your take, a little small sample of your take on Jalen Nailor. I've seen a few people take him. So I'm a little curious. Viking stack. I don't know about the contract. I got to see about that. They could bring him back either way. Who knows? He wants to move. Yeah, no, he could and probably should be back. I'm taking Tez Johnson. I don't care. I like Tez Johnson. I'm going to be higher than everybody. I don't give a fuck. Give me Tez Johnson. If I liked Tank Dell as much as I like Tank Dell when he's coming in, I got to feel the same way about Tez Johnson. And if the league thinks he's a guy, I think he's a guy. And I've heard that multiple times. Give me some Tez Johnson. So there you go. 2 rookies. I need 1 more wide receiver. So do I want to take Jalen Knoll or do I want to take Kayshon Boutte? I'm going to take Knoll because I've drafted too much Boutte. I think he's an extreme value here. I'm taking a lot of Boutte for sure. So let's take Jalen Noel, and then I'm done, and I'll take some rookie running back that I like. There's a bunch, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, I mean, sure, but I personally had concerns about JJ McCarthy as a rookie and as a thrower. I'm just, especially with Addison, obviously Jetta and TJ Hawkinson all there as well. Mind you, again, it's an 18th round pick, so if he's playing, then doesn't really matter. Double stack with Arizona, I don't mind that. But I have seen some people take Jalen Naylor, so I'm gonna have to do a little more digging, especially with this contract, and see what happens there. Who is it? You can take my boy. Jarquez, my guy. He's my guy. One of them. I like Jarquez a lot. Putt Daddy, any chat on Gus or Zach Moss lately? To me, they're pretty much dead. If I'm being honest, like, yeah, Gus is just a little bit too old. He showed his inefficiency this year. I don't think anyone else besides Ravens personnel would want to take a chance on him or want to bring him in. So Gus is pretty much out completely for me. And Zach Moss as well. Like, the injuries hurt, but he's I think he's under contract for the Bengals, but I'm sure they can get out of it. And with this running back class, these two are just, for me, they're just dead to me. They're off my board completely. I won't be taking any of either, if I'm being honest with you. So that's just how I see it with those two. What running back am I have to take that I like? There's tons. I like Audric Estime. I'm perfectly fine with taking Audric. Then you take one of your guys with Taj Brooks. I'm all right with that. There's so many rookies here, but I do like Estime, and it might make sense to take him here. Yeah, I would probably just take Estime, even though I want a rookie. Jordan James, I need to dig in. That's a guy I need to put on my list. Actually, he's not even on my list of running backs, and he's a guy that I need to take a look at. Running Oregon running back. They've been the Oregon running backs have been looking good lately. If I had to, I would be okay with LaQuint Allen. Estime goes. Makes sense. Kyle Monagai, that's a guy I need to take a look at as well, actually. He had 2 very productive seasons, I think, at Rutgers, I believe, the last 2 years. So that's a guy I need to put on my list to watch. Not that I'm going to draft him here. That's about it. Philip Lindsay has an ADP. That's good to see. Krosky Merritt he played 1 game this season, but he was just the MVP of the Shrine Bowl. He looked good, had 1 game, had 100 yards for Arizona, but I don't think he'll be on my radar. I gotta take Tuden, I guess. That's just my guy. So let's take him. Call it a draft. I'll go over the teams in 2 seconds here. Fun draft for sure. That was a good draft. I actually quite like my team, but let's go over the whole shebang after this final pick. Let's take a look at the other squads. Nothing up for my slows. We did a little board. Is this the one? There we go. All right, let's take a look at some teams here. We'll finish off with mine. Let's go to Dark Side. Start at the bottom. Dark Side Debbie, thanks for coming out in the chat. Appreciate it. So we got Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Bryce Young. Maybe too much capital. I probably would have just stopped at the 2. Do you have some? You took Jatavian. That's fine. Someone else took all 3, Chuba, Leggett, and Coker. So it was pretty hard to double stack, but I do think that's too much capital just because you got Lamar and Daniels. I'm stopping there regardless of it's early, regardless of 20 rounds. I'm still stopping there. If I'm getting those 2, I think it's fine to take those 2, but I would have stopped at 2. Bryce Young is real. When is he ever going to crack your lineup? That's the question I would ask yourself is Bryce Young ever going to crack my lineup with these two quarterbacks? And to me, the answer is no. So why take him? Maybe he's the guy you need in week 17. I get it, but I would still stick with what I had there. Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, love those two. Travis Etienne, I'm not an Etienne guy at all. I can understand taking him. I don't like him. I really don't. It's worked out well for me, but I'm not a big fan. Tajay Spears, I'm fine with that. Good pick. Tyler Algier, quality backup. Nothing wrong with that. Even Justice Hill, I don't mind backing up Derrick Henry there. Obviously, you're buying in on the Baltimore. I'm okay with that, but these two at the top are very quality for me. Not a bad room. Definitely don't hate it. Brian Thomas Jr., Chris Olave, Josh Downs, Darnell Mooney, Bateman, a little soft in the wide receiver room for sure. Definitely a little soft. You got your stack with Bateman there. Obviously, you took the two quarterbacks early, so that's going to hurt some other position group, right? You expect that, and you know it if you're doing it, right? Looks like you might have been thinking about getting Trevor Lawrence, but didn't end up going that route. I like Malik Washington. Gabe Davis, I would pull off my list personally. I'm not drafting any Gabe Davis. You never know, but Xavier Strepo, I like a lot. You know that. Darnell Mooney's perfectly fine. Josh Downs might be the best wide receiver on that team, but I don't mind it. A little soft, but I don't mind it. Two rookies in a second-year tight end. It's interesting. Like I don't love taking two rookies at tight end unless they're high value guys. I do like Jatavian Sanders a lot, especially at his ADP right now. I like Harold Fanning and I like Arroyo. I like all the guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say you made bad picks. That's for sure. It just concerns me taking rookie tight ends, especially two of my three. And then you got your second year guy, which you should see a boost. But yeah, they did give Gabe Davis a lot of money, but new coaching staff comes in, and he was very, very inefficient, he was pretty terrible, if we're being honest with ourselves, especially with Brian Thomas Jr. I guess if you're playing off of that, right, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're playing off of the Jacksonville, the team being better than they were, yeah, then I don't hate you. Like, you're right. They paid him a lot of money and he'll be on the team. So you could do a lot worse with your last pick. Yeah, we talked about Martinez earlier. Definitely worth a flyer for sure. I would have taken him in this draft if he were there. Geez. So there you go. You get 3 QBs for the final. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, again, if he's the guy you need, if Bryce Young is the guy you need, then sure. But personally, I would stop at 2. That's just the way I look at it. Let's pop over to Farachi, who was in the chat in the 9-hole. Shadur Sanders, Russell Wilson, Jalen Milroe. I don't need to tell you that this is thin. I'm sure you know that. Super thin. We'll see how it works out. I do expect Russell Wilson to be starting somewhere, most likely with the Raiders, if not with the Steelers. Shadur Sanders probably starts somewhere, most likely with the Giants or the Raiders, right? And then Milroe, I don't like at all personally. I don't think he should, but you never know. A lot of quarterbacks play these days. There's a lot of injuries these days, and he probably will get a shot at some point. Rushing quarterback. He can definitely do it with his legs, right? So I can't fault you for that. But again, I think that this is a little thin. That's for sure. Kyron Williams, Marion Hampton, Quinshawn Judkins, Rachaad White, quality. He's back on my board now that he's fallen back down the ADP list. I'm happy to draft Rachaad White when it makes sense. Jalen Wright, don't mind that pick. Kendre Miller, don't hate it. Don't mind this room. You got quality rookies, a couple good vets. Don't mind this room. Malik Neighbors, Xavier Worthy, Emeka Ibuka, love it. Ricky Pearsall, I like that. I like where he's at ADP wise. Stephon Diggs is I'm kind of out on right now. We'll see, but I'm kind of out on Diggs right this second. But he's your 5th wide receiver, so no harm, no foul. Keon Coleman, I like that. I like where he's going as well. I like this room. Wow. DeMario Douglas, I like. Jalen Royals. Yeah, this is a really quality wide receiver room for sure. For sure. Obviously, you're paying for it with your quarterbacks, but fairly quality running back room. I really like your wide receiver room. And then Bowers and Theo Johnson. I'm not a big Theo Johnson guy personally, but I don't fault you for it. And I don't mind you stopping at 2 when you sink so much capital in Brock Bowers. Quality team. I like that. Let's take a look at Ben's. In the 8 hole, we got Kyler Murray, Cam Ward, JJ McCarthy. Yeah. Cam Ward, I'm curious where he'll play. I mean, there's talks that it might be the Titans. There was some tweets, some buzz that came out that Cam Ward is linked to the Titans, but then also allegedly Brian Callahan was saying, having some comparisons between Shedeur Sanders and Joe Burrow. I think that's a little aggressive, even if even though I haven't watched Shedeur Sanders tape yet. I mean, Joe Burrow is that's quite the comp. But Cam Ward, if he is drafted by the Titans and is the starter there, which he would be if he were the first overall pick, then that would help this room for sure, right? Kyler, like some Kyler, JJ McCarthy, I'm a little lower on than some, but don't mind it. This is a better quarterback room than Faraci's team. I think everyone would admit that one. Ashton Genty, Alvin Kamara, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens, Jarquez Hunter, Taj Brooks. So I did something like this the other day. And Ben, I know you are buddies with Pat from the Fantasy Dog Pound. I think you're an admin on his channel even, but I did something very similar on a stream draft the other day. I took Derrick Henry and then 5 rookie running backs. I had, I think, Hampton and Trey Henderson and Devin Neal, Jarquez Hunter. So similar to this. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's a very, very viable strategy this year. If you have a running back like Kamara, Barkley, Derrick Henry, Bijan, Gibbs, right? A running back like that top tier type of a running back, high producer, getting touches, you know what you're going to get. And then you just fill it out with these quality rookies. So I think this is perfectly viable, personally. Again, I just did it the other day. And I fully think it's a viable strategy, especially if you're getting some high value guys like Neal and Genty, right? And guys that I like personally, Hunter, right? Taj Brooks, I don't fault you for. So I think this is acceptable and perfectly fine, personally. Some people would turn their nose up to it, which he did. Pat did. I watched the show back. I wasn't watching it live, but I watched the show back yesterday or something. And they're kind of turning their nose up to it. But I think it's viable. Amon-Ra, Marvin Harrison, Mike Evans, and then no rookie wide receivers. That's funny. All rookie running backs and no rookie wide receivers. Perfectly fine. Not that that's a problem. Amon-Ra, Marvin Harrison, Mike Evans, Pickens, Myers, Tillman, Wilson, Naylor. Very quality room. So especially with that makes more sense with Naylor. If he's dead, he's dead. And it's not the end of the world for this wide receiver room whatsoever. Very strong wide receiver room. Probably the strongest so far. Stronger than mine. Yeah. If Jacoby Myers is your wide receiver 5, you're in pretty good shape. So, yeah, there you go. And that's kind of what, you have to be strong somewhere. In the other draft I did with all these rookies, I was very strong at the quarterback room. And my tight end room was quality. Right. So yeah, you're going to be kind of weak somewhere, right? Not that this is weak. Again, I don't think it is, but I do think this is a little bit softer. Not that it's a massive concern, but I do think the quarterback room is a little bit on the soft side. But it's perfectly acceptable. And then you double stack with TJ Hawkinson, with JJ McCarthy, David Njoku, and Kyle Pitts. Very quality tight end room. So no weakness there, no weakness here. In my opinion, honestly, the biggest weakness of this team is the quarterback room, not the running back. People might think or say it's your running back room, but I actually think it's your quarterback room personally. But I think this is a strong team. Perfectly fine. Let's take a look at the Off the Schneid squad. Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, Justin Fields. Definitely a little softer than I would like. Especially unstacked Michael Penix. I mean, I like Michael Penix, but I'd rather have a piece. Like I said, while we're drafting, I would have went Kyle Pitts and Penix and been fine with just that. Little softer than I would like, but again, fine. I'm not a concern, but I think it's softer. It's softer than I would like for sure. Brees Hall, Travion Henderson, Zach Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, Najee, and then Bayshall too. And I really like this room. It's kind of oddball. It's definitely not common. It's not a running back room that I would typically draft, if I'm being honest. But it's pretty quality, actually. I actually quite like it. I got some good rookies in there, second year guys, or third year, I think, but third year, right? I got some younger guys, some quality vets, Najee, I don't mind it. It's a quality room. Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Roman Dunze, DK Metcalf, Jaden Reed, Savion Williams, Tez Johnson, Jalen Noel. I love this room, actually. Not quite as strong as Ben's, I don't think, but right there with it. Really quality, balanced it out, right? I like taking these high value vets that you're very comfortable with what you're going to get out of these guys, and then some boom bust rookies to bring in at the end of drafts. I really do like that strategy a lot. So I'm really happy with this running back or wide receiver room for sure. Stacked up with Roma Dunze. And Justin Fields, I'm perfectly happy to take naked, especially when we don't know where he's going to be. If I'm the Steelers, I re-sign Justin Fields and let Russell Wilson walk. But either way, Fields is going somewhere and he's going to be playing somewhere. Guaranteed he's going to be a starting quarterback this season, I think. If he's not, I would be shocked. So I'm fine with taking him unstacked. I'd like Penix to have one player coming back, preferably Pitts and Drake London, but very strong wide receiver room in my opinion. And then just like at the field, I think in my tight end room, Colson Loveland, especially if he gets drafted to like the Bengals or someone quality, a high powered offense, then that, makes his pick a lot stronger. Cole Kmet stacked up with Caleb, and then a quality high floor tight end to round it out in Dalton Schultz. He should be, 8 points, hopefully a week, right? Just enough to get you by. So like this team, actually, it's a little different than I would typically build, which I like to do. I'm happy that happened. But a good draft, boys, really good draft, really fun. Cam Ward, wait. Here we go. My RB room was thin as fuck. Probably should have passed on Naylor for another running back. Yeah. I think it's fine. I think it's a fine strategy. Like, I would have been okay if you did or didn't, whatever, maybe a different wide receiver. I don't really care, but I think it's viable. I think it's fine to go with that many rookies when you have, especially you got Genty, Neal, and then Kamara. I'm perfectly fine with that. So I think it's a viable strategy. Dark side Devi Cam's going to the Browns, in my opinion. I've heard that. I've heard Shadur right. It's too up in the air right now to really pinpoint it. But either way, I don't really like either of them, if I'm being honest. So I have Ward as a Brown for this team. Fair enough. Oh yeah, with Njoku. So there you go. You guys are on the same page. I dig that. Got to hit a QB and RB for sure. Appreciate that. Appreciate you coming out. Najee's been stealing up like 40 picks. A great pick. Yeah, I think he's a good pick. Quality. We'll see where he goes. Either he stays with the Steelers or, he stays with the Steelers or he doesn't. I actually don't think he does end up staying with the Steelers. I think that they end up going with a rookie and bringing back Jalen Warren is what I think happens in Pittsburgh, but we'll see how it shakes out. Great job. Really enjoyed hearing your thoughts and takes on stuff, especially the rookies. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully that's what this whole episode was geared towards. I'll probably do another one kind of similar to this where I show my spreadsheet where it's a little more filled out. So give me a few more weeks. I got to grind some tape. So I'm going to start today. There's a couple guys I'm going to try to watch today, but all throughout this week, whatever. The playoff best ball is going to be wrapping up. The Super Bowl's next weekend. I have one team in the Big Mitten 2. So the $100 draft, I have one team in the final. I'm guaranteed 8th or better. I can't finish any worse than 8th, which is nice. So I'll make a little bit of money back on playoff best ball. Lost a little bit of money during the season in big board and best ball mania season. Lost a few bucks, gained a little bit back in the playoffs. So I still lost some money, not a crazy amount, but yeah, not everybody wins money playing best ball. Anyone that says they do, like some people do, some people don't. And it's this year, that year, whatever. Like, to be honest with you, I'm still looking for that big bink, that big win, even though I was very right on my takes last year in regular season best ball and in the playoffs. I was huge on the Commanders and it really worked out. But didn't get me. If they made the Super Bowl, I probably would have won a tournament, which would have been nice, but it is what it is. And again, my takes last year were very correct, very accurate, but it takes a lot to get into these finals, man. It's not easy. It's not an easy game. You can be right and still lose. And that's how I was this past year. So that kind of sucks. Najee, the Cowboys would be a great fit. I do like that. That's a good spot. Makes sense. Haven't had a winning year yet either. You got to really luck out 100%. Like you can know ball, you can do all the tape grind, you can do all this work, you can be right, you can be exceptionally right. I thought I was, and still not win money. So it's a tough game. It's how she goes. But either way, appreciate everybody in the chat. Ben, Dark Side, Putt Daddy, as always, Jason Calhoun, everybody, appreciate you guys coming out. Farachi, thanks for coming out. Hit that like button on your way out if you don't mind. I'll be back. I'll be streaming this week. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'll probably get one for like Tuesday. I'll stream a few times, so hit that notification bell, so you know when I'm going live. If you want to jump into drafts with me, I'm going to be grinding tape and drafting throughout the day. So I'll see you guys in the streets. Like I always say, off the schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully today we were right, and appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate the draft. Have a good day. Peace, guys.